Welcome. Happy New Year. Let's get this party started off right. We got Andre Staley in the chat. What up, though? That's right. Happy New Year, Michael Dean.
Happy New Year.
I love that you're ready for the sign of the times.
Yeah, it's a whole nother swag right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We've jumped a few years.
Yeah, we jumped.
We got our money right.
Yeah. Hopefully you asked for the right Christmas gifts. Hopefully you got your new book, because we're starting a new book today, and we got a very special guest that's in our green room or purple room or whatever you want to call it. But special guests, we are going to get through our housekeeping with the quickness.
It's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. Got a breakup. Got a new baby. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So we got to say hello to our peoples. And what's going on? Oh, that is super weird. Okay. See what happens with that. Oh, I don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like that either. Okay. Uh-oh. It's doing some weird things.
Don't like that.
Let's see.
Are you getting all fancy with the
I don't like what they
comments. It's live editing. She's okay. Turn me up. Sound man. This is basically turn me up, sound man on the streaming world.
It's not my favorite, but it's gonna have to do for today because I'll be here all day. All right, we'll just go with that. Okay.
Turn my bass up right. Hey yo, Scotty. Turn me up.
Yes. All right, we got Lee Christian in the house. Happy 2025. I'm here, ready and willing and able to do the work. That's right. We got Anna B here, purple royalty and loyalty. I'm tucked in bed with a kerchief on my head, waiting for the purple carpet to be rolled out. That's right, okay. Anna B. We're rolling.
Anna B, slide over. Let me relax and get in bed and do the show too.
Yeah. Because you were in our top first in the chat leaderboard that we showed last week. So we gotta roll out the royal purple carpet for Anna B. We got Real Line of DJ who knows what's up because they have changed their avatar to the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. I love our peoples, Michael Dean. They know what's up. They already know. And we got Nick Felden in the house. We got TP in the house. So excited for this new journey. So am I. 2 more years, Michael Dean.
Yeah. That's right.
And we got Christina. Happy New Year, everyone, and happy new book. New book.
New look. And that's all she took.
Yes. And we got, Marky Rayford. I don't know if you've been here live before. So peace from Virginia Beach. Welcome. Thank you, D68A, for that Atlanta show, January 4th, that I watched last night. That's the part. Yes. We got Chip and Sparrow from Japan. Welcome. We got Mooches, who knows what's up because today is Vanity's birthday. Happy New Year from Philly. We got 71. We got Chris Bournet. We got El Dabara. 1985. That's what we're talking about. Okay, here we go. D68A is trying to rival Theo for decent purposeful dynamic tunes win. I love that. We're a decent purposeful dynamic tunes win. We're trying to get people to remember our acronym, Michael Dean.
How long did you work on that one, D? I like.
I love that. Yes. So WDPDTW. Mila is back. I've missed you. So excited to get into the second book. Love Your Name, Show Me. And I love Hello.
Uh-oh.
All right, that was a bass break. And we got Audra so ready for 2025 and 2 more years of all this. See, Audra is down, Michael Dean. And we got men.
All right, Audra, maybe you can take some of my shifts. Trade a shift.
Trade a shift.
Trade a shift.
Yes, happy birthday to Vanity. Welcome, Mira. We got Laura in the house. Happy to be with you for another year full of love and good vibes. We got Raywin in the house. We got Dee in the house. We got Annie Ward in the house. We got Raywin Harris. And so Mira wants to know, how do y'all Americans celebrate the New Year? How do you celebrate the New Year, Michael Dean?
Staying home from work, taking the day off.
Yeah, that sounds about right. For me, it's just like being grateful to be alive above ground one more year. And see, Leah's not going to be able to join us because they're going to the JSU Conference Basketball Game of the Year. Monica is driving while I listen. That's style. That's right. And
Monica drives safe. That's right. Monica should be holding the reins of the wheel. Let that joker sit. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Celie, for holding it down with me last week as we counted down to the new year. So really, really appreciated you. We had such a great time. And we have Sister Charles. We got LW from the UK. New year, new book. That's right. We got Tanja all through the new book. And then we got Vanessa in the house.
What's up, Vanessa? It's my family.
And we got salutations from Teal. And I don't know, I thought it said Arlene. And then let's see, Purple Cat Confetti. It was a purple Christmas for me. So very happy. I got my book open, ready to learn more. We got Taurus Curry from Memphis. I love Memphis. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've never been to Memphis, you have not lived until you've gone to Memphis. It's such an amazing city. The people are so warm. Really, really love that. And LW wants to know, Michael Dean, is that a peach and black Prince tea?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
New year, new look.
Yes. All right. And welcome, Chad. Welcome, Marcus. And if I miss anybody, I'm so sorry. Oh, we got to say Purple Saturday 2025 with the purple bars to Dr. Claw.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
And Dr. Claw said they went to Memphis in 2016 to visit family and they need to go back. All right. So let's get this party started with the quickness. Let me go through. And I know our special guest is like, time, but we're going to get through the housekeeping really, really quickly. So we are so excited to be in year 3, Michael Dean. We are in year 3 of What Did Prince Do This Week? I'm so very, very excited. And this is, yes, that's right.
And salute to everybody in the chat. Y'all with us for year 3. Y'all been here for 3 years. That's crazy thing.
That's commitment, because some of you have been here from day one, and we so appreciate you. And we so appreciate that you're nerdy enough to tune in every Saturday to talk about an amazing book. Books matter, and and obviously Prince does. So we're just combining our loves into one thing, and music matters and all that jazz. So we're so excited. And Andre says, love the new book. Love the new look, Brother Dean.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
And welcome, Jensen. And I'm ready for year 3. That's right. And let's see.
I know my man said I'm ready to get on the screen, though.
Yes, but we got to do the housekeeping. All right, especially because we have a couple of new faces in the chat, so we need to let them know what's going on. So it is a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series. through an interactive weekly online book club and Saturday salon, echoing the spirit of the Harlem Renaissance. And I have to give a very special shout out to El Dabara for my favorite gift, which is from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, once a week for a year. And I put in 4 years. Yes. Okay, see you there. That means we're crazy enough to do this every Saturday. And we are at our 104th episode, Michael Dean. That's where we at.
Wow.
All right. First and foremost, we got to wish a very happy birthday to the one and only Vanity, Denise Matthews. We miss you so very much. So we got to start off with that.
Beautiful, man. God.
It's stunning. Yes.
I don't even know what I would do. Like, I just here's my little measly check. Just take it. What's your routing number? That's one of those routing number emails. You just sign it over. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, indeed. Yes, Vanity is the most beautiful girl in the world, for sure. All right, so we're going week to week, not day to date. So one day, some of you will figure that out. See, it took Celie almost 2 years, so one day. And then you can follow the detailed schedule at this QR code, a bit.ly link. There's a new schedule where I've broken down every single week what you should be reading and all that. And then these will be archived at Polished Solid as well as at MDean. And I'm going to try to just do this on YouTube and not Facebook. I'm trying to condense my social media this year. We'll see how it goes. If too many of you go like, what are you doing? I might go back. But right now, I'm just going to be streaming it on at Polished Solid. So please subscribe, like, and help spread the word. And then we have our hashtag, which is WDPDTW, which D68A has given us, where decent, purposeful, dynamic tunes win. All right. And then if you have seen the Purple Rain Tour, we want you to come on to talk about your experiences. And if you don't want to come on, some of you have started sending me media that you'd like to share instead of coming on. So if you want to do that, please feel free to do that as well. This is what we're going to be talking about next week. So if you want to come on, we're going to be talking about the Omni Atlanta, Georgia shows this week as well as next week. But then we're also going to be talking about the Houston, Texas shows. So if you've gone to any of those, you want to come on, just email WDPDTW@gmail.com. And the State of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. This is an independent endeavor. And we are finally ready, Dean, to invite our Grammy-nominated.
Wow.
Yes, our Grammy-nominated special guest, Duane Tudahl, to the stage.
Yeah. Come on in.
The official turning of the book.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Uh-oh.
That's right.
Lower the one, raise the other.
Yes.
It's exciting. And I love the shirt. Do you have a fan on you?
Yeah, I was trying to get my Michael Jackson kind of.
I was going to say, it looked like you're rippling. I'm thinking either that's muscle control like crazy.
That's what actually it is, the muscle control. My bad.
Out on the beach flexing it.
Pop. No, it's hot in this little room, so sorry.
Yes. No, that's what it's about. It's about the blowing and the wind.
Exactly right. Hi, guys. Welcome to the next year.
Yeah.
Congratulations on 2 years. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this.
Congratulations on the Grammy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's you know, I say this all the time. It's Prince did all the heavy lifting. Seriously, don't let anybody tell you any different. Prince did the heavy lifting. We did some organizing. You know that if he wins, it's him that wins, because it's we would not be doing this if it wasn't for what he did. You know, I mean, I just did some organizing. So, but I'm happy. I'm excited. I want to see, and they're doing the tribute to Prince. I'm thinking that's gonna be cool.
Wait. Say that again.
They're doing the tribute to. Can you guys hear me? Make sure my microphone's
working. Yes.
They're doing the tribute at the Grammys for this special merit.
Oh,
so so that's going to be cool. And so I'm hoping that's one of these things that they, that they kind of make sure that people understand how good and how amazing he was, and the legacy he created. So, Hello to everybody. I see everybody saying hi. I'll collectively say hi to everybody. Hello. Or else be here all day saying, hi, Annie. Hi, everybody.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is great. I'm excited to be here. I mean, it's funny because Dee wrote me and asked me. I didn't see the email, and I wrote to her and asked her if I could. So everyone's working together on getting, except for Michael. He didn't care.
I can see it now.
Whatever, dude.
One geeked out question, and this would be something we ask probably at the end, but I'm just going right to your head at the beginning.
Okay.
How's the next book come?
You're just like straight no chaser.
Right, yeah.
He's trying to see if he's got plans for 2 years.
Before you answer that, Duane, I want to welcome another guest, but actually families to the stage. Ricky, come on in.
What up, Rick?
Say howdy.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what's up, Duane? D?
How you doing, sir?
Hey, living the dream. How about you?
Same. This is vodka.
There you go.
He started early.
Zima, boy. And drink clear fluids, just Zima and
like
vodka.
Going straight. Okay. I ain't mad at you. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope that Christmas holiday and New Year holiday treated everybody good.
Great. Great holiday. It's a great holiday. Yeah, very excited. You were asking a third book. Working on it. It's going well. I'm hoping that my goal is to have either it out by the time this book goes through, and so you have something if you wanted to keep going or pass it on to somebody else. But it's doing well. I got some cool things. In fact, let's see. Tell you what. I'll tell you. Today's the 4th of January. Hold on for 1 second. I'll tell you what happened in the book so far. January 4th, 1987. Wouldn't You Love to Love Me is likely tracked, version 2, at the warehouse. Let's see. It has, I'll tell you who was on it. Having Sheila join him on a Sunday in the warehouse. She added percussion and possibly more to the updated Wouldn't You Love to Love Me, creating a version 2 of the song. Once the basics are recorded, he reached out to Eric Leeds to contribute sax to the song. So then Eric Leeds talks about that. And then let's see, because that's Prince's original 1970s version of the song was re-recorded multiple times, including a pass with Sue Ann Carwell on the lead vocals, but none of those were ever released during Prince's lifetime. So we talked about that. And then the next one is January 4th, 1988, tracking for Once Upon a Time, Eric Leeds song. Well, the song that became an Eric Leeds song. This is the song that Prince had done, just a demo of an instrumental that went to Eric. So he worked on that for his thing. So this gives you a little idea of what's going on in the next book.
Okay.
All right.
I was ready for this. So yeah.
Just to go back to that, Wouldn't You Love to Love Me, when you're writing and describing it, and you talked about the Sue Ann version, like, did you hear that version though? Like,
I feel like I did. I interviewed Sue Ann years ago, and I feel like I heard it back then. I just remember now. I just pulled it up, so I wasn't even thinking, but I think I did. I interviewed her, back with Uptown era. So that's how it was 20 some odd years ago. I'd have to look back and see that. And that's something I wrote. So where I am with the book, I've got a bunch of interviews done. I'm still continuing more interviews. I've got several more I want to cover, and I got a few other surprises that are coming up. So some things are fun. But yeah, I'm working hard on the third book. And hopefully even a fourth book. We'll see. I'm kind of, I know. And when you ask what we do on New Year's, we read books.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay alive.
That's how we celebrate.
Book could probably be going 10 years out. I'm trying to. Oh, it's exciting, man.
My arms are damaged. My arms are destroyed. I wear things on my wrists to kind of be able to write. But that's my love for you guys. So I'll have these nubs at the end.
Wow.
Hey man, so we appreciate all the work that you do.
Absolutely.
Man.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
I love what you guys do. This is, when I tune in as often as I can, and I send you comments and stuff like this, but boy, the fact that this is still going now, the first book is done, throw this thing out.
No.
Never to look at again.
No.
We covered it. Actually, I'm amazed at the stuff you guys find. D and MD, especially, it's the things you guys find, the pictures, the reviews, the comments, the fans that are. I see that question out there. The 1987 or 1988. It's 87, 88. It might be 87, 88. Might be even 87, 88, 89. I'm trying to figure out what. it'd be kind of fun for me to be able to wrap up the end of the decade. And if I did that, going back to 80 to 82 would be fun. So that way, you know,
Oh, wow.
tired of book one. Edgar.
Hi, Edgar. Happy New Year, Edgar. Thank you so much for tuning in. So Jensen, Duane wants to know, where do I buy the books?
You can buy them depends on what you want to do. If you want to buy a signed book, you can go to my website, which is duanetudahl.com. Spelling somewhere on here, I think, maybe. If not, it's DuaneTudAhl.com. I'm not selling this one on paperback, but I'm going to put them on Amazon soon. So I'll have it on Amazon, signed versions on Amazon, which is what I'm going to try to shift toward to Amazon. You can also get an unsigned book on Amazon, or you can get. Actually, I'm going to switch to eBay. I'm going to post on eBay, so I can get some signed books out there. It might be easier. So yeah, haven't, for some reason, I just never got around to selling the paperbacks. I've got a few. So I'll post them on eBay and get this out there for you guys.
So I'm actually glad that you mentioned the paperback, because am I right in saying that there's no difference between the paperback versus, the expanded edition we had with the first book?
There is a difference.
Oh, okay.
There's I was able to find some additional stuff out. It's probably about 40, 50 pages longer, I think. Yeah, I saw you holding up the hardback, and I almost took that hardback. Stupid hardback.
So you can hit somebody over the head with the
exactly. Hold the door open, change a tire. It's a lot of things you do with this heavy book. Discipline is really the big thing. Just if you got a kid. It's the difference is once it came out, as always, it's sort of peer reviewed, and people look at it. And I had, for example, Susie from Sheila's band saw it and said, "You know what? I got a journal from that period," and she gave me the information for that. So there was a couple dates that got switched, and some additional quotes from her talking about that rehearsal that came out, floated out. Carl's was it Carl's something?
Carl's cousin or something?
Yeah, Carl's cousin. Yeah. So she talks about that in the book now and things like that. So it just did a few things that go in like that, but it's basically the same. I mean, there wasn't a lot of major changes other than additional things that I found that were interested. So, and we didn't do the thing at the top where it says the deluxe. The other thing is, hold on. There's a preview of the next book in this paperback. And it's about it's about a week-long version of how Lovesexy was created.
Okay.
And
D'Angelo hit it.
Yeah. Good call. So it talks about what happened after the Black Album was canceled. It does the sample chapter doesn't include the Black Album being canceled. It starts the next day. And it goes into recording Lovesexy, Ingrid Chavez stuff. I was able to interview Eric, Ingrid, Kat, a number of people for the American Matt Fink, all for this little chapter, just to kind of it's a bunch of unpublished quotes and things like this for that. So, and it's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of fun in that, and I'm looking forward to when book 3 is done, because as much as here's the thing, I love book 1 first my first baby. But book 2, I liked even more. There was something, I don't want to say meatier, but there's something, I think I kind of found the groove with the writing it. And also I feel like there was so much information with the Sign of the Times and Parade and things like this, that it's one of my favorite periods. But then I started on book 3 and I'm going, damn, this has got some cool stuff to it, because you've got you basically threw everything out, and you're now starting with
Lovesexy.
With Lovesexy. And I was exactly. What I've said before is this is the way Prince had to get rid of everybody pretty much for this, is sort of the way I had to do the third book, because all the interviews and stuff I'd been relying on for the first 2 books, The Revolution and things like this, weren't always applicable for the third book. So I kind of had to rediscover the same way Prince had to rediscover his band. And so there's some things in book 3 that I'm going, wow, I never thought of that. And so I got to spend a lot of time with Kat. I'm so sorry she passed. I've reached out to Bonnie's family because I wanted to see if there's any interviews Bonnie did, because she's one of these people I feel like never gets enough attention. And so I've reached out to them, and they're looking into seeing if they have any press on her or any interviews she did or any sort of thing that might be insightful to this. I've interviewed, I think, most of the band for this, and Susan Rogers, who is only in the third book from until like October of that year. She has a little part out in December when the Black Album gets canceled, but for the most part, she's somebody that I relied on for a lot of these things. So a lot of new engineers, people, Chuck Zwicky, people like that they're really solid, that are going to be really telling a good story. Eddie Miller, a lot of really good, solid people for this next book. So
what about Joe Blaney? Did you interview?
Joe Blaney. I've interviewed him several times. Yeah. So, and there's a lot, it's kind of opened up doors for additional things. So the third book I'm still working on. It's keeping me up at night, but these other two did too. And it's one of these things where you're thinking, I'll never get this done. I have to get it done. And my goal is to get it done before this thing runs out, so you guys have something. And if I don't get it done by then, what I'll do is I'll supply you with information until it gets published. I know Michael Dean's going, no. Saturdays.
So have band members and I guess associated like engineers, like have people been more forthcoming now since the first book?
Yeah. I think because once they knew they knew it was not going to be taking advantage of him. There's a lot of books that come out that kind of, I read them all, and there's some I go, yeah, that's good, and there's some just regurgitation of old information, and some are just kind of a little more controversial than I think it needs to be. And these are written with respect and love, and just enjoying his music and what he brought to it. I mean, the reason why we come to the party is because of his music. If he wasn't making the music, we wouldn't be here at the party. And so my thought is, let's focus on the music, and if we can, what in his life influenced the music. And that's the fun thing. Some of these people have great insights about, about where this music comes from. I love that. Well, thank you. No pressure. Thank you.
Yes. Web Diva 3000 asked, did you talk to Miko?
I've tried to. Miko is just one of these guys, and he's a good guy. He just doesn't talk to anybody. And I know Michael put a quote of him where he talked about his rehearsal stuff. I know that he had posted and things like this, but Miko doesn't have a lot of. I know we interviewed him briefly for Uptown years ago, but Miko doesn't want to talk. I've run things by him. I've said, this is what we're saying in the second book. What are your thoughts? And he said he'll adjust it if he feels it's wrong. He had one time where he asked me, where did this come from? And I said that you gave me this information. And he said, oh, okay. But I wish Miko would talk. Miko probably has the best stories. And I think Miko's a fan favorite. And I don't know if he understands how much people love him and how much they want to hear from him and the insights he can bring. But it's his story too. And if he doesn't want to talk, that's certainly, the case. I would love to, though, if Miko, or I would love to see him on one of you guys' shows and just talking. I'm one of these people that feels like I love these kind of things where you guys get interviews and get people talking about this stuff. It's always helpful. I mean, there's so many people out there that have so much information. Eric Leeds is one of these great sources of things. Kat was amazing. I had lunch with Kat a couple times. I was very blessed about that. She likes to, talk a lot. So there's a lot of people out there that I think have. Matt Fink is always open to talking. Levi is always open to talking. So I think there's a lot of good people out there that really have a lot of information. So why did I decide to do 87, 88 instead of going back to 81, 82? D'Angela is the reason.
Sexy.
I'll tell you, D'Angela has been very, very involved with some of these things. She usually reads early versions of these books. And she's giving me notes, and we're talking about what one to do. And she said, you've got to continue. And because first off, Lovesexy is one of her things. And second off, because it just makes sense to keep going chronologically. And that makes sense. And then I can kind of whip around at 80, 82, which would continue. So you guys could have a full decade of doing this show, which again, I'm sure all of you are really.
Yeah, man, look, she threw a brick at you. Just say she threw a brick at you.
Oh, I did not throw.
She threw the infamous brick, Mike.
I mean, so obviously everyone should know that actually Controversy is my favorite Prince album, but Lovesexy, the era, as well as all through to Batman, is like one of my favorite periods. And I don't think that a lot of the books that have been written, or when people talk about Prince, they don't talk about that era enough. There's a lot of articles, about Dirty Mind, not so much about controversy, but I do think that this is a really important era, and so many amazing musicians. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are not Prince fans, but for whatever reason, they went to the Lovesexy concert, and they always tell me that the Lovesexy concert was their favorite concert, bar none, and they're not even Prince fans. I've had several conversations with just like music fans in general. So, it's really, really an important era in my personal opinion. So I'm really appreciative, Duane, that you are continuing chronologically for right now.
I love the Lovesexy tour. It's the first tour I ever saw with him. And I don't think he ever did a tour like that. I mean, he did musicology in the round, but he never did something as complex as that. And it's funny because I've been doing some interviews with some of these guys, and one of the stories coming up is about how complicated the stage was and how it really almost failed. They tried a waterfall on stage for a while, things like that didn't work out. And even when they're rigging it, the mics kept going out because there was some frequency problems. It was the first one he did from Paisley Park. It was just a huge endeavor, and he'd never done anything like this. And the other thing about Lovesexy, which is fascinating to me, is that they planned to do America, then Europe, and instead they switched it like a couple weeks before the tour started. And so they did Europe first and then America. And by the time they got back to America, the album was kind of dead. And it was, then it's the turmoil going on there and the drama going on there. I mean, but in the end of that year, he'd fired Cavallo, Raffaella, and Fargnoli. Did that on New Year's Eve. And that's why they kept going with the book. I was going to stop at the end of 88, but they fired him at the end of 88. And I thought, oh my God, there's the story of what happened for the year after that, And so I thought, get going. And so the book 3 will end right around when they're about to start doing Graffiti Bridge. Wow. Batman. I mean, book 3 is going to have the Silent Times tour, the release of Silent Times, Madhouse 8, Madhouse 16 released, Jill Jones album released, Lovesexy recorded, Black album recorded, Lovesexy tour, Batman. Gosh, I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot. So this is why what's that?
Okay, Taja Seville.
Taja Seville, yeah, exactly. That's in there. So there's a ton of stuff that is going to be in book 3.
I call it the Prince flood. I mean, just the amount of music and everything else that was going on during that period is really insane.
87 was a huge year for releases. I mean, he had so many releases that came out, and so many great releases. Jill Jones is a fantastic album. Madhouse 16 to me is the best of the 2 Madhouses, at least to me. And he recorded Madhouse 3 that year. It didn't come out, yes. But it's an insane year of how much was done. So trying to cram in all that stuff, and then the Black album being not done, and then recording Lovesexy, and then it's a lot. So I'm trying to make sure it's right. I mean, I would rather get it right than right now. I want to make sure it's accurate, because if you guys are going to be doing a show, you guys will call me out on my if I got something wrong. I know I'm going to be called out. I've heard it. I want it. I want that.
It's not to be negative. It's just that we want the facts right. Yes, and exactly. Prince Vault changes their information once they get the accurate information. Right. So it's about being accurate. It's not absolutely about calling.
No, I don't take offense to it. You guys here's the thing. I've realized that you guys are not here about me. You're here about what's in the book. I happen to be the guy that wrote the book. This is not about me at all. So I welcome if there's issues, because I need to know. If I'm going to be walking around telling everybody this is the case, yelling, Eureka, I've discovered this, and you're like, no, that's not the case. I would like to know, because I want to make sure that, first off, it's accurate for my own sake. Second off, if I'm talking about it somewhere, I want to make sure I'm not looking the fool more so than usual. And just making sure it's right. So what do they say? It's accurate. Here's the thing. It's funny. Somebody asked me, how would you call yourself? I always say to myself, I'm a scholar, not a scholar. I'm a student. I like to think of, I'm never going to be graduating. I'm always going to be learning on this stuff. And when I hear people kind of say they're a scholar and that they can learn no more, I always have to kind of sit back and go, I'm always learning. I will my deathbed, I'll probably be, thanks, D'Angelo. That's a great information. I expect to always learn. I think that the books are just a great way to have it kind of catalog. But like you said, Prince Vault is amazing, and we're all friends with the Prince Vault people. But it's they change it. They change information all the time as new stuff comes out. Every box set or every book or every article has a potential nugget or a key to open up a door in this huge mansion. But the problem is, if you write a book, it's said there, it's stuck there. I can't go back and say, oh, I figured 2 weeks after I published this came out, or all of a sudden these people started talking. So you're ready to dive into this book. You haven't read it yet. What? This is outrageous.
No, I think she's talking about book 3.
Oh, yes. I haven't read it yet. I'm still looking forward to it.
Book 3.
See.
Quick question for you, Duane.
Yes, sir.
Any thought of doing either book 1 or book 2 and sort of like a super deluxe edition where, I mean, have you heard of any of these books? I see a lot of novels where they have, they'll have like art on the spine. They'll have like a different cover.
You're saying more work for me.
Well, what it'd be like. It's a special edition for like a fan. So
I'll tell you something. You're kind of reading my mind, because in 9 years there'll be the 50th anniversary of Purple Rain, and I've thought about coming out with a larger book by that point of everything, because what you guys have found out, what I've discovered, more interviews have come out. If there's potentially a Purple Rain box set at some point. I want to get everything in there. It would be kind of fun. I don't know if I could do that for all the books, but if nothing else, the Purple Rain, which is the big daddy, might be kind of fun to do. Let's see where I get with the 3rd and 4th book if I'm not, on my deathbed with D'Angelo giving me extra information.
And the other question for that, kind of along the same lines, would you ever consider doing like a crowd source type of book? I see a lot of authors nowadays, they're, raising a ton of money to create the book that they want to create.
Like Kickstarter or something?
Yeah, something like that, where you don't have to worry about necessarily selling it. You've already, the people who want to buy it are already invested into it to make it for you, so you can just do it the way you want.
Maybe. I mean, I've got a contract with my publisher, so I'm kind of stuck with that. But I can write other books. It's not everything. What's it? Brother 2 is going into 1990. It'd be great if you could find the interview. Oh, I probably have that somewhere. It's funny. I have a chart of all the Prince interviews, including press releases and everything like this, so that I can kind of go through, and I'm trying to go through everything. Will you be going into the time reunion? That will be addressed in the book. Yes. Time reunion, because there's two. Well, there's 2 time reunions, because of the one in 86, I think it was 87, that Monty couldn't go to, and then the 89, which was the entire band coming back. So I also want to cover the Time Corporate World album, because there's a lot of reasons. Yes, but there's so much to talk about with the books and everything like this. I always feel bad that I kind of have to cut them back. The second book was about 250,000 words, which is 250,000 words. And the publisher said, we'd like about 150,000. I'm like, I can't cut 100,000 words out of this, but I can trim back to about 210,000. And they're like, okay, they're okay with that. But they've told me not to write them as long. So I'm trying to show them that long is better.
Yeah, who do we need to email to say, hey?
I'll tell you what helps is reviews on Amazon and things like this, because they do see these things. So if anybody has written a book or wants to write a review on Amazon or something like that, mention that you enjoy. By saying this, it sounds terrible. Mention you enjoy the length, but make sure you say that the book with because it is 2 years. That's all that's covered in this book. 2 years. That's a lot.
So they asked you to edit it down from 9.
They've said, and not in a bad way, but they've said, can you bring it in more reasonably? And I'm like, no, because there's a lot to cover. To me, I write books that I want to read, and I think that a lot of these people, how dare they ask that? Yes, But I think that people enjoy the detail. I think people enjoy how much it goes into it and things like this. So, but then again, you see books that are about Prince that are only 200 pages long when they go, then it's supposed to be a life story of the guy. And I'm thinking, that's 200 pages? What we need. I agree. I want the books longer, but you see books out there that sometimes, that is supposed to be a story of his life. And you're thinking, this is not quite, flood Amazon reviews. I'm not asking that, but I'm not going to object.
Well, I'm asking that because you want the books long. I think that's like really, really important. And can you actually talk, if you remember, like what did you actually cut out? I think I remember, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. But can you talk about what you had to cut out?
Well, some of it is redundant. I mean, I when I look back at it, when I write it, I have to step back for a few weeks and have a few people read it. And D'Angelo's one of the people that read it. And then I go back and I will keep telling people that because I want to make sure people know that you had read this and you were instrumental in a lot of this stuff. And some of it was redundant stuff. Some of it was more just stuff that ended up being less about Prince and more about some of the people around him. Like I have a great thing in the next book, and I'm probably going to put it in because it's really fun. But talking about Kat saying, the first time they were recording, she's supposed to be singing, but she didn't want to sing. So she was just like miking, acting like she's singing. And then when she's done with that, Prince goes, "Oh, let's hear everybody's isolated track." And he starts playing the isolated track. And he gets the Cat, and she's like, "What happened there?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you'd be doing that."
Wow, that would be a nightmare. Prince on a spot like that.
I love it. And there's stories like that aren't necessarily Prince, but they're very charming. Cat talking about roller skating around Paisley Park when it got built, and just how fun that is. And again, that's not necessarily a Prince thing, but it is kind of the big picture thing. And I like that. Now, the third book's going to be trickier because if I'm cramming 3 years into the same size book, I may have to not put some of the stuff in. I've also thought about making a Substack thing where I can put some of the stuff in there and let this stuff out there. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of options out there, but my goal is to cram as much in there that's entertaining. If it's entertaining to me, I want to get to you guys. That's the bottom line.
No edits, man. I mean, the edited book is like a shortened version of like an extended she's always in my hair.
Right.
Just doesn't do the thing. I mean, it's just not the same thing.
And I mean, in honesty, all books are edited. So it's not like this is the only book he's ever gotten edited. I mean, I think about the thing in the history of the world where Moses walks down with the 15 commandments, 10 commandments. Think about that a lot. And so it's not like that. You do go through it and you have, editors and you have people look through it and say, you know what, you've said this before. And there's a review. Somebody wrote a review one time and says, "I'll give you the entire thing." And they wrote like 5. Prince worked a lot. These people were busy. And I was like, okay, yeah, that does cover it. But there's a lot of nuance to with these people showing up and tired. And I enjoy hearing that these people slept in their makeup because they knew they might have to go to the studio. Or Susanna said something like, Prince would call her at like 4 a.m. He said, "What are you doing?" She's like, sleeping. He goes, "Well, I'm recording," and he slammed the phone down on her. And that's funny because I like the visual of that. I just picture Prince in the studio doing this stuff. And so anything about him, but these books have also expanded not just about the studio stuff. They're about the tours. They're about things like that. And I find that, I try to make it a linear story as much as you can, told with the skeleton of the studio sessions. So that's where, but book 2, which I know we're about to start, is there's things in here that there's so much detail. And the funny thing is when I was writing this, we were also releasing the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. And so a lot of the information in Super Deluxe was coming from the research I had done before on the books. Luckily, they were one of the few times in life that you can sync up 2 projects. And the fun thing to me, well, not fun at the time, was the same day I was delivering the last view of the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe box set, I was delivering this book.
That's crazy.
And literally both were delivered the same day.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it was like I'm like I hadn't been slept in days, and I'm having to make sure and also making sure they don't contradict, because a lot of the stuff in the Super Deluxe edition was based on the information I've been researching for 20 years, dates and things like this. So I wanted to make sure it was accurate, especially with the sessionography and things like that I put on the side of the Super Deluxe side of the time, which I still love that album. I'm such a fan. I mean, I love the Diamonds and Pearls because that's the most recent one. And D'Angelo, congratulations again on your liner notes on that.
Thank
Great,
you.
great stuff.
Thank you very, very much.
But Silent Times is still one of my that's like my bag. That's my jam. And knowing all the stuff that's on there, I wish that could have been another 3 albums longer. Hopefully, and when they do the parade and stuff like that, if parade ever comes out, some of that stuff, which is in the gray area, can be included in that. If they do a parade super deluxe. So,
hey, were you able to? I just have, I have to ask a Madhouse.
Please.
Were you able to get, I guess, more group feedback other than just like Eric, Matt? Like I know was Levi available? Was Dale Alexander available?
I actually have Dale's information. I'm going to reach out to him soon. I told myself after the new year I wanted to start reaching back out to people. During the fall, I was interviewing several people, but there's a number of people I have on my list that I want to reach out. Dale's one of them. And again, Dale is going to have a limited view of what he did, but sometimes when people have a limited view of some of these things, if they did 5 sessions, they remember them a lot more specifically. Whereas if you did 150 sessions, you may go, I don't know where that fell in. But Dale did, the stuff on Madhouse. The fun thing I'm finding out with the Madhouse stuff is there's a song or two. Remember the video, the Hard Life.
Yeah.
They had some of the songs that ended up on Madhouse 16, but they hadn't been recorded yet. The songs they put on the Madhouse 16 from Madhouse 16 that was in the Hard Life were rehearsals. Those were things that they did in the studio when they're prepping for the tour, and it was songs that they wrote but didn't record yet. They didn't record them until July. So that kind of stuff is fascinating to me because we've all seen Hard Life, and it's whatever the quality is, it still has music in it we weren't familiar with at the time, but that music came from a rehearsal as opposed to the actual Madhouse 16 album. If you listen to it, you'll hear the differences.
Yeah.
Question about that Hard Life thing. It just made me think of something. Yeah. Was there any consideration to put that on this Sign of Time special edition?
I never suggested that. My suggestion is if that should go on a Madhouse box set. If they're going to do a Madhouse box set, which I've dreamed of something like that for years. I think a lot of us have. I don't know how well it would sell, but it's something that because you could do Madhouse 16, Madhouse 8, and the 2 Madhouse 24s, or one was actually going to be Madhouse 26, and then you also had the Madhouse one that came later. There's a lot they could have put in there, and some outtakes. There's the B-sides, but there's also songs they recorded for both those things that didn't make it, and so I would love. To me, if you're going to find a place for that, it would be on that. You'd have it makes sense to me, and that's because a lot of the music they use is Madhouse music, and it was done right after the band was getting together and prepping for the Sign of Times tour. So.
Was there any conversation when you was there to like you said, suggest we should do something with Madhouse?
No, I don't know if it ever came up. I mean, there was long-term plans for things, but I don't know what's going on. So I ever since I was young, I wanted to see some box sets. So I do whatever I can to prep for that or to root for it if it comes out, because I think a Madhouse box set would be a fan favorite. Well, I'm glad. I think most hardcore fans would like to see a Madhouse box set.
I think it would sell, particularly if it was advertised as limited edition. And it is limited edition. I mean, I really do think that the hardcores would come out and purchase that. I know that I would.
Yeah, they could find a home for it. But honestly, with just like a jazz label like Blue Note.
Well, it would still be released. Yeah, but it'd still be a release that they would do through Warner Brothers and Sony. Yeah. So, I think you're right. There would be. I think there would be definitely. I think almost everybody on here would buy it. But it's something. But I don't know how. I mean, neither one really sold huge. They had a little bit of attention and stuff like this. But to me, they're great. Well,
that's why I say Blue Note, because if you figure they could sell 100,000 copies. That's great for Blue Note because they probably don't sell that much.
Right.
just with their regular catalog.
Right. Yeah.
So just among Prince fans, if they would have those type numbers or close like to those numbers,
Yeah.
it's like a win for them.
Yeah. I see somebody else writing Madhouse. There's some Brass Monkey songs, all that stuff. There's several things for that that could be used. You got then you try to figure out how big a Madhouse box set would be. You can't have a 7-album box set, because it would not sell enough to justify 7 discs. But there's enough.
Actually, I'm sorry, Duane. Celi's comment made me think of something. So Lee Morgan is my favorite trumpet player of all time.
Okay.
And they just released a new box set, like maybe Blue Note, just like 2 weeks, or maybe more like 4 weeks ago, called Truly Matt Lee, meaning Matt Lee Morgan. And what they did is they had contemporary artists cover his songs on one of the CDs that was included in the box set. And then they also had like a 7-inch. But I really loved hearing the contemporary artists actually cover his tunes, to see how they, reimagine them. And I could see where they could do that with Madhouse. They could ask some contemporary players, to do that, to maybe garner some new listens, to the Madhouse project.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think the trick is with somebody like Prince, who's sort of I'd say Prince is a different animal than a lot of people out there. I think when people want to hear a Prince song, they want to hear the Prince song. I mean, to me, I like Manic Monday by the Bangles, but I enjoyed hearing Prince do it. That would be the thing I would chase after. I think it would be kind of fun to hear interpretations of things. But then I would also be sad that I didn't get Prince on these things.
Oh no, you get the original. On the box set, you get the original song, and then you get the cover of the song. So you get both. Right. It's not about replacing, like in Lee Morgan's case, Lee Morgan, because Lee Morgan is amazing and nobody sounds like Lee Morgan.
Sure.
It's just about trying to expand the fan base for the Madhouse project. Like if that's truly an issue. How do you get new listeners? And one of the ways you can do that is through introducing it through existing.
It's possible, yeah. I mean, I to me want to have a box that holds as much Madhouse as I can get, and if it's some interpretations of things, that's cool too.
Well, obviously, I don't want any interpretations. I want to be clear. For me, it's always about Prince, but I guess the point I'm just trying to do a thought experiment. Like if the issue is they don't think that enough of us would buy the box set, which I think that we would, but in case they think we can't, that would be an alternative that they could think about if they need to try to up the number.
That'd be fun. So, I like I said, I love the Madhouse stuff. I would love to hear some of the live Madhouse stuff.
Of course.
I would love, even though Prince was involved. I mean, the story I'd heard is there was 1 or 2 shows where Prince would be backstage and jamming with them. I haven't found to be those specifically yet. But I know he did that with The Time. He did that with a number of bands where they'd be out on the stage and he'd have his guitar or keyboard or something like that on the side and just be jamming, which to me is one of the coolest things ever. Just thinking that this guy is so into music that he's just adding to whatever's on stage.
Yeah, like who's badass to like you make the album, it's you, but then you don't want to play it live. You hire other people to play it. Like, that's a cool move.
I back when The Time was when they were playing for the original 7, and Jesse decided not to do that. I wanted Prince to go out with them. I thought Prince playing guitar with them would have been the best. And I talked to somebody later and they said that was one of the things they considered. And I thought, imagine that, Prince going out just being the guitarist, for The Time.
Wow.
Being on stage with them for a tour. I think that would have made a difference in that album sales. I think that would have made a difference in a lot of things because that album was good, but it didn't break out like I wanted it to. Let's see. What are the other things? Who was saying things?
Personally, for the Madhouse, I mean, I would love the box set, but if all we got was just them releasing them on streaming services and maybe a vinyl just of each album, I'm fine with that. Like these lessons so we can have it. That's,
right.
I don't care if they sell it or not. We'll listen to it. They don't need to be some number 1 hit.
Well, I think they want to make sure that it makes enough to make money on this, or else they won't have other future things. Because I want to see a Jill Jones box set. I want to see, and Jill's got enough stuff to do an amazing box set. I'm a purist. I want to see everything. So I would like to see, I would like to see an Around the World a Day box set. I would love to see Parade. I want to see Controversy box set. Whatever you can get, I'm there. I'm there for day one. Whether I'm working on it or not, I'm a cheerleader for all this stuff. So,
So I just want to quickly say, Chris, Prince technically did this with Tamar's tour. Prince was Tamar's guitarist. So you should seek out those shows if you haven't listened to them, because they're really good.
And it's fun watching him be the session guy. Because he's such a dynamic presence. You can't not look at him. It's funny. And on the musicology, Welcome to America tour, the stage is there, but you're looking at Prince most of the time. He's walking around, and even some of the stuff is in, the low light, because he's the guy out there, and he's the presence. And then they have side with Ida comes out and stuff like this. But it was, there were times that you just were, the singular focus would be on him. And that's fine, because he's so dynamic, and you're willing to just go, I'm here to see you. I'm not here to see who are the other band members. I'm enjoying them, but he's the guy that I want to watch, and then seeing that he can go in a 360 is pretty fun. I have to admit, I did like the Symbol stage, just because you had more of a, the band in one area, and then Prince could kind of tour and invite people out into that. But I love that. That was so fun to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you about book 3, because I want to shift back to book 2. But book 3 is in process. There's a lot of cool stuff to it, and it's now just weeding it down and kind of, I wish I could show you some of these things, but maybe what I'll do is occasionally post stuff. I've thought about just making it so I post occasional things that just say, this is where I am with the book. Cause people ask me a couple times a week, where they are, and it's nice. I think, it's very flattering. I think it's
do a little, every once a month, just do like a word from the author video or something, or take a live questions or something. That's
a good point. I didn't even think of the live questions. If only there was a format for live questions. I wonder what that would be like.
Right.
Yeah.
Shoot, if you want to get crazy, you set you up a Patreon and just, you can read the book.
That's true. That's true.
Oh wow,
that would be something. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Actually,
that would step on your toes, though. I don't want to do that.
No, because you'd be reading the new book.
I'll be signed up reading it too.
Yeah, we'd be signed up. We'd be just right there.
Right. I do like the fact that the way you formatted this is, every 40 years ago. It's 40 years ago. So it's like, it's this week. And that there's something fun about the fact that this is 40 years ago. So if we do shift over to the fourth book, which would be 80 to 82, it'd be 50 years ago, which is crazy. Somebody told me that I heard this the other day, and I blew my mind. Is Purple Rain was released closer to World War II than to modern day? You think of it, and I thought, what? Purple Rain was released closer to the end of World War II than it is to now.
Wow.
And I thought, voodoo math. That does not make sense. But I thought, and that's why a lot of kids today don't quite get, and our job, and you guys are doing a great job, is making sure the next generation understands, bridging a graffiti bridge, so to speak, to that generation, that bold generation. Now that I think about it, to get people to understand, because you don't want to have this die out. And, we are hardcore fans, but we're getting older. And
that's the reason why I'm really excited about my Clive Davis Prince course in the spring. The only thing about it, welcome, Theo. It's so great to have you here. I got to tell you that D68A is coming for you with the acronym, Theo. So this is D68A's WDPDTW, where decent, purposeful, dynamic tunes win. But I know, Theo, that you're going to come back with something else. So it's so awesome to have you here. So the only issue with my Prince course in the spring is that it's half a semester. And it's really hard to talk about Prince in 7 weeks. It's not a lot of time, as you know, with all the books that you've written. Now, I wanted to ask you this question from Lee Christian, contract and deadline withstanding, any advice or tips for how to commit to sitting down and writing big projects, not 200 pages with regularity and discipline?
It's funny. I actually thought about teaching a course on writing.
You should.
Because it really is a discipline where you really literally have to sit down and focus and set aside the time. Stephen King sets a time in his regular job that he writes. And that's why he's got 10 shelves of books. It is something you have to do. Every time I go back to my high school reunion, there's always 2 or 3 people that say, I want to write a book. And they do this over the course of several times. And, it's been 10 years for some of these people. And I say, well, just write a book. Just literally sit and write a book. A book is about discipline. And it's about sitting down and going, okay. And I've read other people's books. I've had some friends that are writing books and they've said, here, can you read this? And oftentimes I look at it and say, this is a great first draft. But a first draft is a first draft. And a first draft is where all your crap is. And then you got to go through. And people don't want to sit there and do the work that's involved with fixing a first draft. Some people think they just throw up on the page or bleed on the page and they're good. And that's not quite it. Writing is rewriting. And you have to sit there and go, what works, what doesn't. It's the same thing as Prince putting together an album. He puts it together and says, you know what? This song doesn't fit. I mean, Diamonds and Pearls had Old Friends for Sale on it originally. And you sit there going, well, that doesn't fit. And he had to cut that out. I put that in the sessionography on the box set. It was on one of the assemblies. And they just said, you know what? That just does not fit. It's a great song, but it doesn't fit. And you have to do that with a book too. You have to sit there and go, this is the thing. The other thing when you're writing a book is make sure you had a focus that nobody else has. Because if you're writing the same thing somebody else has already written, they've already written. It's, and if it's writing a story about somebody in particular, it has to be the best story of their life. If not, why aren't you writing that best story instead of this one? If that should be their biggest adventure. If you're not writing their biggest adventure, put that book aside and write their biggest adventure, because you want to hear the best stuff. You don't want to, you don't want to see the second or third best. You want to see the best, and have your friends read it, and have friends that are going to check in with you, and have somebody say, you have to say, I've written a certain amount of pages, and you have to talk to your friend. It's like losing weight. I'm accountable. I will call you every Monday and say, this is what I've done. So that's the kind of stuff with writing.
So Edgar is actually using their writing schedule to write this, but concurs with Duane that he's right. I set aside 2 hours every day on weekdays and 4 hours in weekends to write.
Yeah. I don't know who this Edgar guy is. He sounds kind of a goof, but Edgar's a friend of mine and a goof. But yeah, no, he's right. You really have to. It's a discipline. You have to sit there and write. And people say they want to be a writer, then write. That's the bottom line: is write until you feel you have something to read, and then have somebody read it and understand they're going to be criticizing you stuff, and it's not they're criticizing you; they're criticizing the comments. And there were things Dee said when she was reading my stuff that I agreed with completely, and there's things I didn't, and that's part of it. And if you see 5 or 6 of your friends saying the same thing, think about the fact that they said something and you go, oh yeah, that's right. What they're saying, there's something in there. And sometimes it's a matter of going through sentences. I had an editor for my publisher, went through my stuff. I thought I blocked him. I don't know what he's still doing on here. But if what was I even saying? If I had editors go through my stuff, and they would take out a paragraph because they thought, oh, this is important, not understanding that the paragraph is the setup for the joke that happens in the next paragraph. And so all that's gone, it's and they put it together, and they're repeating information, repeating words. It's a gigantic puzzle, and you have to have a lot of patience. It's a long-term planning thing, and I don't tell people that if you're not good at long-term planning, don't do it. But it is the coolest thing when you can finally say, I got a book. Because even nowadays, people say, where'd you learn that piece of information? I read it in a book. And so, but make sure you're right. Make sure you're accurate. Make sure you have a compelling story to tell, and make sure it's not just, something you'd enjoy, but make sure you got an audience. The other thing I would say, and I know you're not doing this thing to hear about my journey on this, but a lot of work is involved. Once you write it, then a lot of work begins. You're doing podcasts, you're doing interviews and things like this. And that's a huge thing. And you got to get people that like this thing. I was blessed to get these guys when D'Angela asked me if she could do a podcast like this, and I said, yeah, of course. But she was sweet enough to ask me, how do you feel about this? And I thought, of course, it's not about me. It's about the information in the book. And the fact that people may want to read the book is cool, but it's not about me. I just happen to be the guy that put this stuff in the book. So let's see what it says. Editing about part of writing. Sometimes it's about trimming the fact. Sometimes about finding the most efficient way to say something. So be open to editing. Absolutely. Editing is vital with this stuff. And also the other thing is sometimes you find that you don't know for some things, and you have to be a little vague about it. There's times in the book I'm going, I think this might have happened this day, or writing is the rewriting, exactly. But you don't know, you kind of have to hide certain things. I directed a bunch of shows, and sometimes what we tell in the show is important, but what we don't tell is also important, because you have to kind of avoid, it's one of the things about writing is making sure all of it is part of the story you're trying to tell, and not doesn't go drifting too far. Princess Life has many errors. There's bound to be somebody upset when you skip over. So that's true. How can they devote? That's exactly right. And I have so many people that say, well, I want to hear more about this. Yes, I do too. But again, I have to have the book be something you can lift up without hurting your back. That's an important thing. So you hope that, and then the other thing is, podcasts and things like this, and these kind of things are ways to tell the additional parts of the story. And I know people got on me about the fact that there was always a paperback that comes out with some additional information in it. Well, sometimes that's, like I said, this is the peer review. My hardbacks are the peer review. All you guys look at it. I had somebody who said, sign that she's always in my hair, couldn't have used this keyboard because that wasn't created for another 6 months. And I looked into it and I was like, you're right. I heard the early version of it and didn't have that keyboard in it. And then I realized, okay, so the second book, the paperback of the first book, had to have that information in there. Or people write to me and say, you listen to this remix, you can hear these little things. And I don't know all this stuff. I love hearing from you guys. I love you guys fixing this and correcting it and making these things better. Because the goal of all this stuff is to get right. I think most Prince fans are searchers. We all want to find, we're all wanting to do this. And I think that the nice thing is, for the most part, Prince fans are not territorial. There's some that are, but for the most part, we try to get the things out there and make it accurate.
Yeah, I want to ask everyone in the chat, which version of the second book do you have? Do you have the hardback or do you have the paperback? I am going to change the schedule. I got to get the paperback since Duane has informed us that it is definitely longer. And I'm probably going to change the schedule to accommodate the paperback. But I'm just curious if you don't mind putting in the chat which version that you have. Celie says hardback. Man Ray 10 says I have both. Let's put up here. Let's do this. All right. Of course, Edgar has both. AJJ132 has the audio book. That's
audio book is of the hardback. The audio book is of the hardback.
Okay.
On the hardback, and I'm not trying to downplay the hardback because it's really solid.
Yeah.
I just was able to get some additional stuff. You'll see in January, there's stuff that Susie had talked about, and one or two of the dates changed with that. So I'm sorry to throw that on you. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no. I don't know why. I was like, is there something? And so I'm glad to know. So I'm going to be ordering that as soon as I get off of the call. And then I'll
get off.
Yes.
23 hardback.
So I do want to answer Mila's question from a long time ago.
Yes, what is the name? What's your focus on that?
Of course. Because I think it actually fits in nicely with this conversation that we're having about editing. Because like I said, there's no way that you can really cover Prince in 7 weeks. It's a 3-hour class every week, but it's still not a lot when you're talking about having them watch movies and listen to full albums and multiple albums a week. So basically, make a long story short, the focus is actually going to be on Jamie's star and the building of what I call, the triple threat. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want the students who are all musicians, because they go to the Clive Davis Recorded Music Institute at NYU, to understand that they can leverage their network, like their own personal network, to build worlds and to, you know, like build their own things. So I'm trying to empower the students to recognize who they have around them to build whatever they want, kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's
D'Angelo, that's what I'm talking about.
but in doing so, I cried because I can't include. There's so much I can't include. You know, I mean, we're gonna obviously talk about Purple Rain, but the real focus is really gonna be on like 1999 era, really. So.
Well, I mean, you know, like you are providing them. I mean, at least, like a launch pad to, you know, go into some other things.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, that's you know, like one thing about, you know, like Prince and Miles Davis, they have these vast catalogs, and you could like break it up into so many pieces. But then you look at other people whose life got cut short and they have a shorter catalog, and then you're wondering, like, man, say, what if, you know, they had done some other things? So, you know, like this way, you give them, you know, a nice little starting point where either they could go back and look at some, you know, some stuff pre 1999. Or they could go further, you know, and beyond that, and kind of get into some stuff. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, so Chris, like, it's technically, so Clive Davis actually asked me to teach the course, and I am not a Clive Davis instructor. I'm actually a professor in the School of Engineering. So they're making a special exception for me. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to regularly teach it, but we will see. Obviously, I would love to, but
yeah, you'd be a hard act to follow.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually following Questlove, who taught it the last time.
Oh, I think you could get him, D'Angelo. I think I got my money.
No, because Questlove gave them like a thumb drive full of unreleased stuff, and I'm not doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not doing that because, you know, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't have the cachet or the money that
got players on deck.
Right.
Yeah.
relationships for that.
Yeah, I don't have those kinds of relationships, so I can't do that.
Yeah.
So we need to get into what.
One second. I two questions. Sure. First off, I see some. Chad Martin said I signed the book with Susan Rogers. Was that at the Hard Rock Cafe signing? I'm curious about that. And the other one, I see Purple Cat Confetti was in Fort Collins last month. I live right near there, so I'm just curious if somebody was in Fort Collins, what they were doing out here, and if somebody's in this area, please let me know. You know, I live not far from there. So
what's your address?
My address is this. And I keep a key under the front door.
I came here to get my book signed.
Oh, I've actually had people that were in the area.
The Lake Minnetonka signage too.
I've actually had people that were in the area that have said, "Can you sign my book?" And I said, "Sure, I will do that." I am always happy to have somebody that has my book. I'm you know,
sure.
I've had people that have said they got the book without the bookmark, and I've had, you know, there's been times that I've said, you know, there was somebody who was sick in the hospital, and I sent him something and stuff like this. So I try to help out people that you know, if people are kind enough to buy the book and spend, you know, this on your nightstand, that's a commitment of a couple weeks of reading. Except when I have Michael Dean read it quickly before I make the announcements, which I always do. I always pressure him on that one. I always feel bad. Like, I want to announce this thing coming out. Here's a book. You got 2 weeks to read it. He's like, oh, okay. And so, but he's always very good about that. But I want, you know, if somebody's going to commit to reading it, I want to make sure people are happy. You know, it's a big thing. I've said this before, but there's a cockiness and an arrogance when you're writing a book that you want people to read it. I want you to spend a week or 2 or 3 or 2 years talking about this thing because you think it's important. And so far, people have been really good. Read it slowly, a couple of weeks of reading. Yeah, it's one of these cool things about the book is that you can, at any time, go. I thought we blocked him, but you can kind of look at people look up their birthdays right away. Oh, I wonder what Prince did on my birthday.
Yeah, that's me.
You know, and then they look up. If they look in the back in the index and say, oh. They look up songs and they go to this, or they'll just say, you know what, I want to know more about this song, and they'll find that one. But it's also a good linear thing. So it has to work on 2 levels. You got to be able to look it up for that date and have a little story, but it has to work in the context of the story being told. So
So this is the response from Chad Martin.
Oh, that was that was the one in Minneapolis. Okay, Susan Rogers and I did a few book signings together. Okay, I remember that one. That was fun.
Tanja is saying they have their certificate of authenticity. It's a special touch. Speaking of which, I wanted to make sure I said this. I absolutely love the bookmarks. And I love this one says you got the book.
Right.
Yes.
I would think this guy named Rev, who a lot of you know,
yes.
Who does a lot of the artwork, and he did this for me. He did the covers too. And I think he does brilliant work on the covers and the bookmarks. He and I'll go back and forth about what we have for things, but the things he does and the images he makes are kind of iconic. Like this picture in the front here is, he and I will go through and talk about what images. I like this one because I thought it's more personal. And that's what this book is. It's Prince being more, contemplative. And I like that. Whereas opposed to the first book where it's him rocking out, and reaching for the sky. And I got to figure out what the third book is going to be. I don't think it's going to be the one where Prince is jumping up and down in his Speedo, but I got to find one that's good for that book, and I'll find one that fits. Maybe him in his mankini or something like that, or his roller skates with the Batman stuff on. There's got to be something that says that.
Eye catcher though.
Yeah, that would, but people take the book seriously. But you want to find an image, and the cool thing is also finding. The other thing I didn't tell people, this is something there's a little thing in little parts of here that I have my wife's and my daughter's initials, and Rev is always really good about making sure we can put just a little thing in there that has their initials. Cause I just want to personalize it for my wife and daughter. So that way my daughter can see it in the store and say, oh, that's my initials. Come here. Can you see this?
Hilarious.
That's my dog. My dog's Paisley. Paisley Bark is the name of my dog.
Hilarious.
Yes. So.
Nice.
Paisley, come here.
Paisley Bark.
I want to read this message from Celie because I think it's important. Duane, we appreciate you giving Prince the time and energy investment that far too many Black artists don't get. Prince's immense creativity deserves and demands immense coverage. Hopefully this opens doors.
I would love that. And then thank you. That's just very, I don't even have anything to add to that. Thank you.
Yes. So
I'd love to see that. And I love the fact that you're taking this course and you say it's Miles Davis and Prince or just Prince? Just Prince. Okay. Well, then it's good too. Yeah, either way is good. Yeah. And I wish I could take that course.
Okay, so we got a new acronym for WDPDTW. Winter days prepare Duane to write. That's what I'm talking about.
That's brilliant. Thank you. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. I love that.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you. All right. So we got to transition into what did Prince do this week because there's a lot to cover. I know probably all of you are going to let me down because it's going to be a long one. So whenever you need to bow out, just bow on out because we don't have our timekeeper today, but we're at 1:18 p.m. on the East Coast.
I have to leave in about 15 minutes, but I can stick around for a little bit. So I want to hear this, but I have a lunch date with my mother-in-law.
Awesome. All right. So first of all, again, we want to congratulate you, Duane, for your Grammy nomination. That is so fantastic. And
speech to give.
We really hope that you get it, especially because they are giving Prince a Lifetime Achievement Award. Wouldn't it be so nice if they would also give the best historical album to Prince as well so that you can get your Grammy? That would be.
I don't think that Prince has won a Grammy since he passed away. I don't think there's been a posthumous Grammy for a release. So this would be kind of fun to have that happen. But again, we'll see. And the big event is going to be exciting regardless. And being nominated is just an honor. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive and so well.
If he doesn't win, Duane, you have my permission to go up there like Kanye West.
It's my plan. That's my plan. Let me finish. I'll let you finish, but yes,
I was going to hold the symbol up.
I was either going to do that or do a Will Smith. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do.
Oh, there you go.
No, don't do the Will Smith.
Oh, and then say face down. That would be awesome.
That's good. I'll do some of the face down dance up there.
There you go.
Yes, I love it.
Oh my God, that is insane. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, at the top of the hour, we played, well, the top of the last hour, we played Madhouse 8-1, since we've been having a lot of Madhouse. Obviously, we always have to give thanks to Prince Vault, which continues to keep giving us. It's a gift that keeps on giving. So if you want to learn more about Madhouse, since we've been talking about Madhouse a lot and you may not know about Madhouse, Prince Vault is a really great source for that. You can learn more from one. And again, we are week 1 of 1985 for our 104th episode in our 3rd year of What Did Prince Do This Week? What We Know. Thanks to Neil for that, because as we also talked about earlier, things change and we find out new information. So in this first week of 1985, Prince did 5 live shows and 2 studio sessions. And I have an asterisk because of there's an estimation with one of the studio dates. So this week covers December 1984 on Sunday and Monday, and there was 2 live shows in Dallas, Texas. And then for the first week of January of 1985, there was an additional show at the Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. And then the beginning of the Omni shows, which I attended in real time, and I went to the show on the 4th. And I'm so excited that D68A posted the video of the 4th show of January 4th. So I actually watched it in its entirety last night, and I got very choked up about it for whatever reason. It was such a joy to watch that again. And when we get to that date, I'll talk more about my experience there. And then you can see the 2 studio dates, but the Saturday date, according to Duane's book, is, and also Prince Vault, we don't know if it's like the 5th or the 6th. So that's the reason why there's an asterisk by the studio dates. So I have been trying to read these articles for the past 4 or 5 shows. I found some reviews, some real-time reviews of Sheila E.'s album as well as Apollonia 6's album, and I need to squeeze them in. But because we've gone over so far, I'm going to read them next week again. I'm going to keep punting them and start off with this ad. And I don't know the attribution of this ad. So if anybody knows, I would love to find out because I think it's important. So in this ad, it says, "A caring and sharing holiday wish from Prince and the Revolution with Sheila E. Your help is needed concerning the food drives at our upcoming concerts at the St. Paul Civic Center, December 23rd, 26th, 27th, and 28th. Unlike the snow and cold of Minnesota," I'm going to mute you, Ricky, just because I hear a lot of hissing.
Oh, well, I'm muted already.
Are you?
Yeah.
I just muted you. Yeah, because I muted you. So unlike the snow and cold in Minnesota winters, which are visible to all living in the Northland, hunger is invisible. You can't see it. The hungry in Minnesota come from all walks of life. They include the many who are still unemployed, elderly people with limited incomes, families with children, and a sizable number of wage earners whose income is simply too low to provide for the basic needs of their families. And then I'm going to skip the next one. For those of you attending our concerts, there will be bins and volunteers at all entrances to the concerts to collect the cans you bring. And I'm going to skip the next couple. Together, we can help those in need at a time when their need is the greatest. The holiday season is a time for sharing and caring. Thank you. I think that this was a really great find. Obviously, we've been seeing like newspaper articles that's been talking about the food donations, but it's really great to see that Prince put an article in just urging fans to donate. And I just love, the time that they took to craft the language around why, because I think that's really important. Now, this is a really awesome article that is in the city pages, but if you look closely at the bottom, there's like some of it is missing. So if anyone has the complete article, I'm looking at you, Edgar. Let me know, because this is actually a really important article and I'm going to read it because I think it's important. So this is Caught in the Act, Prince of the Revolution, plays St. Paul Civic Center Performance Excellence. In quotes, Black music is an attitude towards life. Mahmoud El-Khadi, if I'm saying that correctly. And it starts, homeboy came, homeboy saw, homeboy conquered. Or in other words, the day after Christmas, 1984 was what it sounds like when doves fly, when doves soar. Phase 1 alpha, the kid whose purple powers we have fetishized possibly beyond even his own imagination, makes like Reverend Ike and explodes on stage in a mass of swirling color, confusion, and contradiction. Let's Go Crazy, Delirious are fused. The revolution playing the melody from one with the rhythm from the other, while his purpleness dazzles with Circus of the Stars, gymnastics, and acrobatics. Little Red Corvette gets a lengthy intro and a shortened yet angrier treatment. The costumes worn by our heroes are French Revolution meets Las Vegas. The Brits call it New Romantic. The critic conjures visions of the old princely court with Des and Dre and says to himself, I can't read it because of the missing parts, but memories are fleeting, as are the years, like 1999. Phase 2, the gospel. McAllister history professor Mahmoud El-Khadi intimated recently that one of the oldest forms of African religious experience is dance, i.e. movement of the body. Unfortunately, from a Western Christian, can't read that next couple of sentences, the sound and beat are felt, and that slave music, ultimately the source of all rock, was ideologically limited to purely sexual commentary by white plantation masters. And you end up with his royal badness as a historical throwback. Whether he knows it as a different question, it would probably take an army of Freudian psychologists to dig into Prince's cranial labyrinth and come up with a reason for the 30-minute piano-only medley. All the early lascivious songs, Dirty Mind, I Want to Be Your Lover, Do Me Baby, Let's Pretend We're Married, et al., get a sanctimonious gospelized treatment that ends with the Lord punishing the little prince for giving into temptation. Because the Civic Center ain't a Black church, I doubt if the 99% white audience caught on. The gospel ends with the repentant, I'm okay, you're okay reading of Genesis called God. Phase 3, the anger and the sorrow. A baptismal bath plunges us into the next revelation, thunder. Backward tape loops up from the grave exorcist voices. Then came Prince, rising up from the ashen darkness of Lucifer's cradle with his badass black leather S&M self, while the band rumbled into a groove, sounded like Dr. Funkenstein dueling the Mahavishnu orchestra somewhere on one of the 7 moons of Saturn. I'm talking way out. Wow. It's here where I realized that for Prince's primary audience, reportedly 14 to 18-year-old white women, the garish, sexually trappings are primarily. And I can't read the next 3 sentences. And that's, let's see. And then we have to, hold on, go over to Simon Frith says, in Youth, Leisure, and the Politics of Rock and Roll, the attraction of Black music for hip youth lies in its danger and its very exclusion of white fans from its cultural messages. So what happens when the Black artist decides to include white fans in his cultural message, as Prince's latest music has, and then tires of it? Sometimes they go back to the source. It happened to Jimi Hendrix, hence Band of Gypsies. It happened to Sly Stone after Woodstock, hence There's a Riot Going On. Prince, who knows? Phase 4, deification. Prince is officially ordained. I mean, my God, 40 minutes of the blasphemous I Would Die For You and Baby I'm a Jesus Christ Superstar, in parentheses. Sheila E. and 2 or 3 other percussionists are on stage. The groove is as tight as Dick's Hat Band. I don't know what that means. James Brown meets Mongo Santa Maria. Phase 5, meditation and reflection. If, as Frith posits, the most exhilarating form of entertainment depends on the most intense experience of human degradation, then Prince must have be going through some serious head trips, or as El-Khadi puts it, the visceral elements of the Black experience. Check out the screams on Purple Rain. After a rather straight reading of the powerful Another Lonely Christmas, homeboy see the dawn. Purple Rain is transformed from a country gospel ballad to a cosmic spiritual classic that transcends time and space, a 25-minute visionary tour de force with a 12-minute white hot guitar solo. Then I can't read that. And then it says Carlos Santana What does it all mean? Stay tuned. And that was written by David H. Adams.
Wow.
Any review that references Reverend Ike is okay with me. You know, I'm like, wow, that's a time capsule there.
It almost it reminds me of something that I would think that would have been written last year or the year before, or something like it. Just really resonates today too. It's very interesting that was back in '84 when that came out.
That's wild.
Yes. And yeah, this actually came out on January 2nd, 1985 in the City Pages, which is actually a Minneapolis weekly, you know, like one of the ones that you would have found in the boxes. And I really love the structure of this article where it talks about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 and 5. And I loved how it starts off with homeboy came, homeboy saw, homeboy conquered, and kind of brought it back to homeboy. And I thought it was very thoughtfully written. I didn't agree with everything that was in it, but I appreciated it. All right. So I'm not going to be able to read this entire thing, especially because of time, but this is a really good article called Sex, God, and Rock and Roll, Prince in Our Time, that was also in City Pages. So unfortunately, the City Pages is hard to find because even the Minnesota Historical Society doesn't have the archives for City Pages. So if anybody is sitting on a lot of City Pages or Prince articles, I'd really, really appreciate it because the City Pages writers seem to be very different because this next article, again, I'm not going to read the whole thing because as you can see, it's really, really long, but I do want to read some of it. And this is by Martin Keller. And Martin Keller writes, Prince celebrated 5 days of Christmas in his hometown last week amid the usual controversy and an unexpected rain. The precipitation wasn't purple, but it rolled in with billowing fog bank that seemed a part of Prince's most extravagant stage production yet. The performances were focused more above the belt than past concerts at the Met Center and First Avenue, when the biggest box office numbers he commanded were, at best, 8,000 or so believers. His record-breaking number of shows and ticket sales here, an unprecedented 90,000 for 5 sold-out performances, and in cities around the country like Memphis, where soon they'll be painting Beale Street purple, say as much about a nation hungry for new golden idols as Prince's own thirst. And hold on one second. Give me a second. I didn't make it so you can see a little bit. Hold on. Thank you, person who let me know. It's and let's see. Prince tapped the nation's central nervous system by capturing the attention of print and electronic media last summer, overshadowing both Bruce Springsteen's blue-collar anthems and the red tape nightmare of the overpriced Jackson's tour. Purple Rain, the album and the movie, was a marketing maverick's long shot that paid off in gold and platinum, but the current king of rock and roll is no longer wearing the emperor's new clothes. He's looking more and more like Little Richard before he gave up rock and roll for the Rock of Ages, and he's acting like Elvis Presley during his, this is what this person wrote, which I don't like reading, but his fat and lonely last days at Graceland. Fame extracts a terrible price, and now that Prince is playing the piper, he's pranced himself into an ivory corner. Where he goes in the new year will determine whether he'll be a casualty cut down like John Lennon, as a rival paper poorly stated last summer, a regal keeper of rock's sacred and profane traditions, or a talented and driven artist at odds with society at large, like Dylan, trying to cut a rug with his God before it pulled out from under him. Then again, Prince could take another path, but the demonic pace Prince is keeping, plus his boundless paranoia and creativity, seem to indicate he knows he ain't living long like this. Now, this article goes on, and I can't read the whole thing or we would be here until 5 o'clock, but this is a really good article. And it really sort of questions, what is the price of fame and how will this affect Prince? So if you're interested in really reading it, again, this is the City Pages, but it's so hard to find. So you're going to have to go to the website because I put the slide deck there. I haven't put it up there yet, but I will after the show, and you can see if you can read it from the slideshow.
You said he was on the demonic path.
Yeah, jeez.
Yes.
Dee, I've got to run.
Yes.
I want to thank you again for the invite, and thank you to all of you for doing all this stuff. Dee, Michael, Ricky, Seeley, Cam, all the people behind the scenes and everything like that. I want everybody involved with this. You guys are seriously doing amazing work, and your passion shows. I also want to make sure I thank out everybody who's reached out to me and shared their experiences with me. Anybody who does the podcast, because there's so many of you guys out there that do these things with people that I respect and love to hear from. And all the Prince fans who help review the public interviews that I've transcribed. I'm always grateful for when people do that. I can't do all this stuff myself. It's a group thing. And that's, I want to make sure you guys do it. I will see you guys all soon. Take care and let's make 2025 a year to remember. And thanks all you guys, seriously, for an amazing 2 years. I'm so, you guys did such a great job on this stuff.
Hey man,
I love what you guys do. I love what you guys do. Taking this one down and putting this one up now.
Yeah.
So thank you. And if you're looking to find the paperback, reach out to me. Like I said, I'm going to put the paperbacks out on eBay signed soon. And so that way, if somebody wants to get something like that, and the paperbacks on eBay will have the certificate as well as the bookmark, and you can get them personalized if you want. So
nice.
Again, thank you very much, guys. I'm
Thank you,
sorry, I
Duane.
have to run. I would love to stick around for more. I will see you guys in another week. Okay. Take care, guys. Okay. Take care. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Let's see what Seeley was talking about. So Seeley said that City Pages was a more artsy paper that I read a lot when I was in Minneapolis in 1995 and 96 doing research for my book. Yeah, it's no longer being published. A lot of the dailies, the ones that you would find local papers are just going out, like Village Voice, and I don't think Creative Loafing is still around, which was the Atlanta one. All right. So yeah, he is just so wonderful indeed. I feel like StreamYard is acting a little weird sometimes lately with the new edits, but that's okay because it seems like Theo had something else in their chat, but I can't read it. All right, so I got to read this. This is from the Winona Daily News and Winona. I guess it might be Winona, and it's Winona, Minnesota. And this is Diana Montague, and this is called Leather, Leopard Skin, and Purple Rain. I've never been a trendsetter. I was never the first one on the block with any new invention. I always waited to see if I was here to stay, like blue jeans, or if it was here for a fleeting financial moment, like slicer dicers. I don't know what those are. So I had my work cut out for me last week as I prepared to attend a Prince concert in St. Paul. When I went to a rock concert in college, appearance was no problem. I had been in an accident the week before, so I had 2 black eyes, and a friend brought me a black t-shirt that said Spike. I fit right in with the REO Speedwagon crowd. But a trip to see the Prince of Purple was a whole new adventure into concert apparel. One does not have to like Prince's music to appreciate the "what do I wear" syndrome. I watched a video to get a flavor of the upcoming event, and after scanning the audience, I came to the conclusion that my wardrobe contains nothing stormy enough for the Purple Rain. I told a few friends of my predicament, and they assured me that most concert goers wear normal clothes. The leopard skin togas and leather ankle straps were mainly for the groupies in the first 3 rows. What a relief. My leopard skin ensemble is at the cleaners. Not wanting to dress like a total misfit, I let purple rain. Sweater, socks, earrings, fingernail polish, just purple enough to fit in, not create an aesthetic disaster. But my groovy ensemble did not quite groove with the majority of the Civic Center. I looked like a matinee goer at a Donny Osmond performance next to some of those sequin and leather lace characters. I was a plain Jane in a dressy Bessie atmosphere. The aforementioned leopard skin clung to shoulders while rhinestones clustered on spike-heeled pumps and glittered off cheekbones. Black leather enveloped them from head to toe, interrupted only by the jingle bell belts that wrapped around waist and thighs. Prince imitators let the hair mousse flow thick and the eyeliner run wild. And while I stared at these aesthetics wonders on the attempted trip to the restroom, the lines were 17 miles long, so I decided to wait. These strangers gawked at me. I thought, did these people come to listen with their eyes or their clothes? And they probably thought, did she come to experience the purple rain or be the purple poodle? But my self-consciousness of being underdressed dimmed with the house lights. How could 18,000 people care what kind of outfit little old me had on while a 5'3" stick of purple dynamite blasted back and forth across the stage? It was a delightful electric concert. The only minor damper on the day was a screaming group of preteens sitting behind us. Several times I couldn't hear the music over their eardrum popping screeches and nerve-wracking howls. I decided on the perfect concert apparel for those loud little critters, purple muzzles.
Hilarious.
Yes, that is so funny. All right, so next up is a ticket for the December 30th show again. And I've been trying to collect tickets. So what's crazy is this is the ticket that I have. And this other ticket, which is 22N12, this is 22N13, which this image was given to me. So it's so funny that I have a similar one. And then I also, again, these are some of my favorite tickets because you can clearly see like the date. So this is December 30th, 1984. And then this is January 1st, 1985. So I really love these tickets. All right. So this is a special ticket. And you can see this is December 31st. And hopefully you can see the purple circle. So the purple circle tickets, actually on this one, it has $17.50, but I know that the purple circle tickets were often sold for more than that. So I don't know what's going on for that. But people who sat in the purple circle tickets got these tambourines, which was amazing. These purple tambourines with the love God written in Prince's handwriting. You can see another angle of the tambourine. And at the concert, they also sold the puppets and they even sold the waist chains. So at the Purple Rain, I didn't have enough money. So I only bought you can see the tour book to the left. This is not my image. So I was not in the purple circle. This is somebody else's image, but I did get the tour book in real time. And I got this Sheila E. poster of one of the posters that they were selling because they were selling a lot of everybody in the band and Prince is in the Revolution and Sheila. So I was huge into Sheila, so I bought the Sheila poster. And here are some photos from the Dallas, Texas show. And yes, Man Ray, $50 for the purple circle ticket. So I don't understand why that one had $17.50. And yes, Theo, I also wish physical tickets were still a thing. It's nice to have a memory through a physical object. So here's some photos from Dallas, Texas. He has the red ensemble with, I can't remember what Mr. Terry called the pink, well, in this one, black. What was it? I was just calling it feathers. Does anybody remember anybody in the chat remember what Mr. Terry said?
Pink. The first shawl.
I like that shawl, first shawl. That sounds about right.
What does that signify? Like you caught an animal or something like that?
I have no idea, bro.
It's fashion, Michael Dean. It's style.
It must be a Midwest thing because I just don't know.
Well, it reminds me of Jimi Hendrix when Jimmy used to wear those scarves.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Like they were.
Yeah, I do.
Yep. So that's what it reminds me. And Celie says feather boa. That's right. It's feather boa.
Feather boa.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Celie. And then here is the purple metallic coat and the red pants. And we get the piano medley. Love whenever he was on top of the speakers. Really love this photo. Always classic silhouette with the white guitar. I love this Celie. This is what Celie says it signifies.
Pretty much.
I'm more peeping than you.
Pretty much.
Oh, and I really love this shot. I don't know who took these photos, but I love these photos. So if anybody knows,
That's a dope picture.
yeah, it's a really dope shot. Really amazing. All right, so this next one is from the Kansas City Star, and this is A Little Rain, Not Purple, No Deterrent for Prince fans. So I'm going to read a little bit of this by Michelle Roos, but let's read the captions first. Caption says, fans of rock musician Prince formed lines outside Crown Center to buy tickets for his upcoming concert. The overhang across Grand Avenue helped shield fans from the wind and rain, but not the cold Saturday. All but 1,600 of the 1,700 tickets that went on sale were sold, said a Capitol Tickets spokesman. And then the other photo caption says, Tracy Fitzpatrick left Don Russell Center and Debbie Heitbrink huddled in a sleeping bag, waiting to buy Prince tickets. All right, so let me see if I can get to some good place because I don't want to read the whole thing. We're going to skip this one because I have another one that I can read, but I do want to read this a little bit. It's and it says, I didn't expect this crowd, the 27-year-old Kansas City resident said. I hope they still have tickets. And that is often what you thought when you were standing in these lines. All right, so next up is an article from the Atlanta Journal from Thursday, January 3rd, 1985. Again, fans stand and rain. So the previous one was from Kansas City, and now we're talking about Atlanta. And this is by Bridget Davis. Terry Ripley stood in the early morning purple rain for over 4 hours today so he could get the royal treatment tonight. Special seats for Prince's Purple Rain concert located in the Purple Circle went on sale after 10 a.m. today at the Omni's box office, where Ripley, 19, was the first person in line. The 482 tickets cost $50 each. So that, confirms that Ripley had already had tickets for tonight's show, the first of 5 concerts, but he wanted to go to another night too. As one devoted fan of his royal badness, Ripley sat in his car Wednesday night before taking his spot in line at 6 a.m. Thursday morning. The East Point teenager who borrowed money from his sister to buy one ticket said the time and cost are worth it. It may not be what others want, but it's just what my value on it is, explains Ripley. Almost 70 other fans waited patiently for the Omni's box office to open while more people trickled onto the end of the line. It was nothing like the hordes of Prince fans who crowded seats outlets when thousands of regularly priced tickets went on sale in December. Some, like 59-year-old James L. Davis, whose daughters woke him up at 5:30 a.m., stood in line for more devoted fans. I'm doing it only for them, said the Decatur resident of his 21 and 14-year-old daughters. The seats for each of the 5 shows are located on the lower level of the arena and are the best seats in the house. And it goes on to talk about the Purple Circle seats were to donate to Marva Collins and the Chicago Teachers Pension Fund.
Nice.
Yes. All right. So this is another, I love. I'm going to show the actual pictures. I actually have both of these pictures. I'm just going to read a little bit of this article. And this is Atlanta fans go into purple ecstasy over Prince by Maureen Downey and Judy Chiarello, a 40-year-old mother of 2, leaned forward outside the Omni Thursday night and whispered confidentially, I have on purple underwear. What provoked the Norcross homemaker to make such an admission was a Minneapolis-born phenomenon named Prince, who opened a 5-concert sellout gig in Atlanta Thursday. Purple is a trademark of the satire-like pop star, whose height is somewhere between 5'3" and 5'5", and whose dynamism is somewhere between 9 and 10 on the Richter scale. So the caption for the picture is Atlanta fans like Addie Collier above treated their hero Prince right to a royal welcome when he opened his 5-concert gig up the Omni Thursday night. So here is the actual photo that you can see much better than in the newspaper. And this is an amazing photo. So we're going to give a special shout out to Addie Collier for this amazing, amazing flashback to what the 80s were all about. I actually had that Prince shirt. It's a long story, but I gave it to the Goodwill. And then you can see her buttons. You can see the Prince buttons. You can see like the When Doves Cry button, the Let's Go Crazy button, and then you can see like they're not lace gloves, but I can't remember that fabric. And the belt is really, and you got the earrings, and you got the Omni cup. You see
What's
that?
in the cup? That's
Yes.
what you sipping on, sis.
Yes, but that's what the Omni's logo is.
Classic Omni, yep.
Yeah.
Classic Omni logo.
Hey. She's like, I'm ready to party.
Yeah, this is such a great photo. So this is the photo that was in this article. And then I also found the other photo, which is one of my favorite photos from the Purple Rain era. I did not realize it was taken by Atlanta Journal-Constitutional staff photographer, W.A. Bridges Jr. So this is definitely one of my favorites. I love that. Blake Brown said, can't just show up, but show out. Problem some mad dog in that cup.
Not
somebody's auntie was cutting up back then, boy.
That's not Omni.
So let's see. Yes, indeed. That's a 1985 hottie right there. Y'all young folks don't know how fine Addie is. I'll give her my lunch card to holler at.
And she's already at a Prince concert, so that meant some other stuff back then too.
He said, "Give her the lunch card."
Like, oh, you freaking? Yeah. What that mean?
Well, she got lace gloves on too.
Yes,
she's ready. I know what it is.
Love this photo. It's such an amazing photo. And then Lee Christian says, can we just stop to consider these 9 to 10 and the Richter scale reviews are just 5 years after he was going back to the drawing board live-wise, and 2 years after the Rolling Stones supports? Yes.
Is that a chain in his hand? Is that like a? It doesn't like a big chain.
It looks like ribbon to me.
Okay.
I think ribbon. That's what it looks like to me. And all right, so color purple audience, purple with a passion. Let's see what's right for Chris Bournet says. It's interesting how vintage photos really can't be created with Instagram filters. There's a moment in time quality that can't be duplicated, for sure. For sure. All right, so do I want to read this? No. So from Prelude to Encore, His Royal Badness Reigns by Bo Emerson. This is from Atlanta Journal. When piercing female screams drown out Prince and the Revolution, screams brought on by the rubbery bumps and grinds of the elfin sex symbol's pelvis, shades of Beatlemania settled over the sellout crowd at the Omni Thursday night. Purple shades. It was an evening of sex and violence. Violets, like violets in bloom, brought to Atlanta by a 26-year-old pint-sized presence from Minneapolis. On his 13th stop in his Purple Rain World Tour, Prince made musical love to his fans, and when his royal badness moved, they screamed. And I'm gonna let you read the rest on your own time for the sake of time, but I do want to read a little bit from the second article that's to the right by Maureen Downing, who we've already read from, and we're not going to do that because we already have. So I'm going to skip to the next part of the article and read. A devout fan who saw Prince's film Purple Rain 12 times before buying the video, before she even had a recorder to play it on. I've been there many times. I bought a gazillion CDs before I had a CD player. Mrs. Ciarillo said she was the first person in line at the Turtle Store in Norcross when tickets went on sale last month. I got in line at 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday, so I'd be first when the store opened Saturday morning. 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday, so I'd be first when the store opened Saturday morning. And Mrs. Cirillo, who called Prince a musical prodigy and said she loved his blend of funk and rhythm and blues, bought tickets for 2 nights. If I knew then they were going to add more shows later that day, I would have gotten right back in line. Accompanying Mrs. Cirillo was her friend, May Kirscher, a 43-year-old mother of 3. Mrs. Kirscher is a 6th grade teacher at Summerer Middle School in Norcross. I had gone to see Michael Jackson, enjoyed him so much, I decided to try Prince, said Mrs. Kirscher. His sexual hijinks on stage didn't faze her. Mrs. Kirscher said, I have teenagers, she explains. Teenagers dominated Prince's audience. The bulk of the crowd was young white girls who wore their skirts short and their pants tight. 3 members of the audience who enjoyed the female fashions were Auburn students who drove 2 hours to see the show, sipping a $3 concession stand drink of vodka, soda, and grape juice called Purple Rain. $3, vodka, soda, and grape juice. Paul Smith, an Auburn sophomore, said, I came to see Prince because he sings about my favorite thing, sex. You see how many good-looking ladies there are around here tonight? Smith was one of the few people who didn't wear purple. Brown is the snazziest outfit I have, he said. And Prince,
wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said they was sipping on $3 concession stand drinks of vodka, soda, and grape juice. These are kids?
Well, hopefully it's not kids.
Getting it in from the Prince.
He was,
Yeah, I doubt it was kids. Yeah.
he was an Auburn sophomore. So Auburn is a school in Alabama.
Yeah, Auburn University. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he said it was every bit of, roughly 20 years old, maybe.
Got it.
Yeah.
It was just the way they phrased it. It was talking about teenagers and they just jumped right into it.
Yeah, because they would have been carding if they were selling alcoholic drinks. That's it.
Dang.
Yeah, for sure. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
Prince's appeal, embracing both genders, seems to revel in his sexual ambiguousness. He dresses in feminine brocaded velvet jackets and ruffled shirts, and yet he exudes undistilled eroticism as he strokes his microphone or fondles his guitar. All right. Now, I have to show this because Turtles was my record store at the time. And what's great about this is if you read this very closely, it says, save your Prince concert ticket stub and bring it into Turtles. You'll get an extra 94 cents off the everyday low price on any Prince selection in stock. And just one ticket stub gets you 94-cent rebate on every Prince selection you choose.
Rebate? Do they do rebates anymore?
Man, please.
I ain't seen that word in hell.
Bro, yeah, you ain't gonna see that no more.
What's a rebate?
Yes. So I thought this was, I don't remember this, but do you remember this, Ricky?
No.
The rebate thing. So I thought it was.
I mean, I do remember them, but I don't remember them like for Prince concert tickets. I don't remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was cool. And then we've mentioned Turtles a lot. And so that's what the Turtles logo looked like. And I'm not going to read this, but I just thought this was so funny. If you read the highlighted part, Prince is A, the Larry Flynt of rock. Hopefully some of you guys know who Larry Flynt is. B, the Billy Graham of rock. Hopefully you know who Billy Graham is. C, the Mr. T of rock. Hopefully you know who Mr. T is. D, all of the above. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. Oh no, C. Lee. C. Lee says, sadly, when I think of Turtles, I think of chocolate candy. I do not.
Oh yeah, the little wait a minute.
Those are Turtles.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yep. All right. So I guess nobody else found that funny. So let's go to the next part of the article.
These are crickets.
What
Angela cold with it today, Mike. She cold with it today.
You didn't have to mention that part.
Hey, look, I know it's snowing on the East Coast.
Bury him real quick while he's.
I know it's snowing on the East Coast, D'Angelo, so you ain't have to go like that now. I know y'all got snow up there, but you ain't got to go like that.
Oh my God.
2025 is the year of the purple petty, I see.
Oh boy.
Okay.
You're really on your Prince.
No one found that funny.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Okay, here we go.
The cold weather does it, boy. Bring it out. Boy, the snow bring it out in you.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
don't talk about that Prince a lot.
Okay.
Oh man.
Springfield news, Springfield, Ohio. Okay. There seems to be no limit to Prince's ambition, talent, and devotion to his work. He was responsible for 4 new albums last year, his own, The Times, Apollonia Sixes, and Sheila E's, which we all commemorated during Erotic City 40, as well as a hit film, which has also become a hit home video. He uses unreleased songs on the B-sides of his singles. The dance hit Erotic City was on the flip side, Let's Go Crazy, while the current I Would Die For You is back with Another Lonely Christmas, which can be viewed as continued creativity or shrewd selling or both. Now, before I go on, this again is from the same article. This is written by Diane. What's her name? Diane Wirtz. And what I found fascinating about this, I'm sure some of you guys are going like, we know what the B-sides are, but for a journalist to know what the B-sides were and to know like all the albums, I thought was pretty awesome. So that's one of the reasons why I want to read this. So, and then she goes on to say, everything is many-sided when it comes to Prince. The complexity behind his personality, his music, his writing, even his marketing is exactly what makes him such a fascinating figure. But the mania of the last 6 months has created the danger of overkill, and his snowballing teen idol status has begun to alarm critics and Prince devotees of long standing. His current concerts, they've noted, included virtually all of Purple Rain and almost nothing from the more important Controversy and Dirty Mind albums. They say Prince looks to be intent on satisfying his new fans at the expense of the kind of innovation that has made him one of the few certified geniuses in rock today. But it's hard to tell where Prince is really going with all this. He's been a critical darling for long enough. He wants to be a superstar now. 6 years ago, he was crooning soul love songs in a smashing falsetto. Then he growled out obscenities over heavy-duty rock and roll. Today, he's doing Hendrix and synthesizers and hitting the top 40. Prince is worth watching just to see where he'll be taking it next.
I agree with that right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought this is a really insightful article from 1985. It also hints at Lee Christian wanting us to just really think about how far Prince has come in such a short time by 1985. But another thing that I find interesting about this article is that, it's with a lot of these reviews, it seems like some of the critics sort of lament not hearing the songs from the previous albums. And it seems like they feel as though either they were stronger or because they were more cult. And because Prince is passing over into pop, and more specifically what she wrote in terms of teen idol status, they're not beginning to take him as seriously because of his teen idol status. Like they're not taking him seriously as a musician. And I think this is a really important article to kind of wrap your head around, to understand how Prince, not for everyone, for a lot of the critics, was a critical darling, particularly, with Dirty Mind and all that. But once he goes pop, so to speak, with Purple Rain, the tides begin to turn. And that's just kind of human nature. Whenever someone, as long as someone is the underdog, people are rooting for you. But as soon as you come out on top, people stop rooting for you and they start hating. Yep. So this is what we're seeing here.
And you see that kind of go through his whole career. You think you kind of see the fans sort of take that stance later.
Yeah.
About Purple Rain to some degree, right? It's just kind of ironic that the critics were saying that back then. But I think it just shows that Prince, like I love the way he ended the article. Prince is always going to be something. He's going to shift into something that you didn't anticipate, and you're going to either love it or you'll be bewildered. But if nothing else, it's going to be very interesting. You can't take your eyes and attention away from it, even if it's not what you expected. I think that's what he ends up becoming. That like imagine. I wonder what they would have thought. This guy particularly thought of things like Around the World in a Day and Parade. I mean, you want to see him stretch? Okay, hold on. Wait a couple months. You're about to get right.
Yeah, I really
Hold
love
on to your weaves.
yes. I really love this comment from Lady Cab Driver, who says, "For me, Prince always remained the underdog, no matter how famous he got." And I personally agree with that too.
See that?
Yep. All right. So next up is an article that I have to read, and it is from Atlanta Journal. Offstage, Prince reigns over a quiet realm, by Martha Woodham. So details about the enigmatic Prince who refuses to speak to the press tantalize fans, but the bad boy rock star with a slinky, sexy reputation was well behaved while he was in Atlanta for 5 rip-roaring concerts. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't even like soft drinks. Although Prince literally had the city at his feet, his Ritz-Carlton Atlanta suite overlooked Peachtree City. The star of Purple Rain took it easy, relaxing with videos and movies and getting his hair done. As one Atlanta scene watcher commented, he's been conspicuous by his absence. No one at the Ritz-Carlton would confirm the Royal Purple visit, which began last Thursday and continued throughout Tuesday night after his last Omni concert. Following the tradition of the Ritz-Carlton, we respect the privacy of our guests, said General Manager Siggy Brar. We don't comment on who's staying here. A source on the scene who asked to remain anonymous said Prince and his entourage of about 100 people, including a chef, had filled the 25th and 23rd floors since last week, spilling over into rooms on other floors. Prince occupied the Ritz-Carlton suite, a 2-bedroom, 3-sitting room area across the entire front of the hotel. The penthouse suite, equipped with a baby grand piano, which Prince played, and a jacuzzi in which Prince may have soaked, I love that may have soaked, was occupied by Prince alone, says our source. At Prince's request, a big screen TV was installed in the suite where the rock star frequently viewed videos of his previous high-energy concerts. A creature of the night, the singer worked and played while most of Atlanta slept. He arose during rush hour after about 5 each afternoon and generally dined after his concerts between midnight and 2 a.m. Unlike true blue bloods, Prince did not have a food taster, but he did have Randy, the traveling chef. Her day began about 9 p.m. when she began preparing dinner in the hotel kitchen for her boss and about 14 of his colleagues. The menu generally consisted of salads and simply prepared vegetables, fish, or chicken. Prince did emerge from his suite to dine at the Ritz-Carlton Cafe on soft-shell crab and chicken liver and puff pastry. The royal diet does not include red meat, but it does include a penchant for Chinese food. Even this prince dines on takeout Chinese. Prince's outings in Atlanta were limited due, no doubt, to the unbridled enthusiasm of fans, but he did venture out to the movies twice and to have his hairstyle into those ringlets so irresistible to fans of both sexes. After 2 security checks by bodyguards, Prince in a silver jumpsuit and about 20 of his cohorts appeared about 1 a.m. Monday at the L'Enfant Tower on Chester Bridge. He had rented the theater for a private showing of Amadeus, the life story of Mozart. And it goes on to talk about Mozart, and then the final says, Prince bodyguard Big Chick says, the star has seen Amadeus 5 or 6 times. Perhaps Prince, who is said to identify with Mozart, is seeing himself. So I really like this article just to get a sense of what Prince was doing when he wasn't on stage. And I used to go to that L'Enfant Tower all the time to watch movies. So it would have been interesting to, well, I wouldn't have been up when Prince went to see that, but it's just nice to know that he also went to that particular theater.
Hey, it's kind of cool. Randy made the article.
Yes, it is cool that Randy made the article. And Big Chick too. And I just really love the detail. All right. So this is from the first book. This is a quote on page 471 of the expanded edition. And Prince says, you know that old lady in Sunset Boulevard? And Sunset Boulevard is a movie. And it's a really good movie, which I think everyone should watch so you can get the reference. You know that old lady in Sunset Boulevard trapped in her mansion in past glories, getting ready for her close-up? I don't run with that. And that was Prince. I can't remember what year he said that. I was meaning to add it, but I think it was in 91 or 92, if I remember. And another quote from the first book is called All My Life is in My Records. And this was from 1996. Now, I do want us to read, and I'm hoping that either Michael or Ricky, you'd be willing to read a little bit of the epilogue from the first book on page 477 if you have the expanded edition. Ricky, I know you don't have it.
No,
So,
I don't have my first book with me. I put it back on the shelf.
okay, so Michael, do you mind going to page 477 where you see that little tilde and read the last two paragraphs on New Year's Eve? Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. On New Year's Eve, exactly 2 years earlier, Prince played a sold-out crowd for one night in the Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. But a second show the following night was canceled for unknown reasons. At the time, his 1999 tour was selling modestly, but with the album already sliding back down the charts, a month off the road was scheduled to allow him time to regroup. On this night in 1984, Prince and the Revolution had the #1 album on the charts, and they were in the middle of a sold out 3-night stand at the very same Dallas arena. That stage in Dallas may have been the same, but the stage of his career was completely different. As Prince stood there and the last chords of Purple Rain and y'all gonna help me, was it Odd Loud Sign? I don't know how to say it. Echoed in the halls. He was saying goodbye to more than the previous year. He was celebrating the passing of something he created. The last of the purple confetti was still in the air when Prince left the stage, and the crowd was cheering for more, as if it would never end. Although few people outside his circle knew what was happening at the time, Prince was trusting his gut and resetting his internal compass, having faith that the world would find him and join him again. He voluntarily lit the match that would burn down practically everything he'd spent the last 2 years building. Once again, Prince, the 26-year-old musical genius, I got to say it again, 26 years old, was at a crossroads. But that's the story for another book.
So it's
Drop the mic, drop the book. There you go.
and that is the final reading from the first book.
Woo!
Yes. This is it.
This book, look at it. I mean, it's just coming apart. Like, this is how hard we've been on this. See, they don't sell it like this. Duane, maybe you should sell like a true fan copy. This is the true fan style. It's just, look at the papers coming out.
Yes. And Vanessa said the drama in the read, Michael Dean.
I try, Vanessa. I try.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next book. And hopefully, Ricky, you can read this one. So
I got the book now. I mean, you know.
So what we're going to read is page 5 and 6, which is January 1st, 1985.
Man.
This is our,
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
This is the first reading.
January 1st, 1985. I do remember it well.
Whew. Are we starting the forward or are we just going straight
No,
to
we ain't got time for all that.
Tuesday, January 1st. That's what we're going with?
Yeah, we're going January 1st, Tuesday, January 1st. So, I mean, as Michael just pointed out, we're skipping a lot. So that's the reason why you need to read your books. So there's like a foreword, there's a preface, there's even a preface to January 1985, but we're skipping it. And we're going to Tuesday, January 1st, 1985, which is page 5 in the hardcover. I don't know what it is.
And Ricky, before you just let me just say this one person Star Wars reference just caught my eye here right before you read. It says, I think this is Brown Mark saying, I think we were like the cast of the original Star Wars with a Han Solo, a Princess Leia, and somebody had to be Chewbacca. Brown Mark jokingly described the band members to Wax Poetics magazine. He had us blocked and staged in his imagination.
Hey, that's not a bad, bad comparison.
Yeah, I mean, if you to be Chewie actually would be like the right hand man, like that.
Yeah,
Chewie, Chewie held it down.
Hey, look, Chewie's still around in the later films. See what I'm saying? Hey,
Yeah. All right.
So am I reading this quote by Cubby?
No,
D'Angelo?
no, let's skip it.
Okay. Tuesday, January 1st, 1985. It says a reunion arena, Dallas, Texas. I know capacity 18,276 sold out.
Hmm.
As Prince and the band finished the final encore, the crew began breaking down the stage and packing it for the next city. In general, Prince wasn't patient, but when it came to road crew, he was a little more tolerant. So regardless of Prince's demanding work ethic, he understood that there was a machine that worked behind him, and the road team wasn't following Prince. He was often following them after they had worked all night. He knew what we were up against, says Kobe. He knew what the lighting crew team was up against every day, how difficult it was to load in this mammoth Roy Bennett a production and this mammoth sound system and get this all right. And then he'd want to rehearse at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd have 9 trucks to unload. It's only 8 in the morning, but we'd make it happen. We'd make it happen to the point where he'd go in and say, Cubby, can I play my guitar? Sorry, Prince, not ready yet. The worst thing you could say was say yes when it's not ready. We'd say, Prince, we'll take the purple piano to your dressing room, okay? That was much safer and better. There wasn't anything to it. We had multiples of everything. It wasn't a problem. It was just provocative thinking. He'd walk in the door. He would very seldom go down to his dressing room. Excuse me, he very seldom go to to his own dressing room.
Take your time.
Just went to his playground, and that was the stage. But the stage wasn't the only option he'd have when he felt the need to. I'm sorry, not to record. What we would do is have a mobile truck in some of the biggest cities like Los Angeles, New Orleans, Dallas, and New York, explains his recording engineer Susan Rogers.
All right, we can end it there.
Oh, okay. Whew.
So one of the things, the reason why I wanted us to read that is just to understand, first of all, there were 9 trucks that they had to unload. And while they're unloading, Prince was raring to get rehearsing or doing whatever he needed to do. And so sometimes they had to make accommodations for him by like taking a piano to his room. And then also like hearing that, the mobile truck was, kind of like following him in the major cities was also cool to hear.
Yeah, just from like having done gigs and setting up and stuff, I mean, the instruments are pretty much the last things that hit the stage in terms of setting up. And I'm pretty sure with the setup that they had, the stage itself had to be kind of built, set up, and then the lights and stuff. So I mean, that's pretty much, I'm sure that took a quite a while to kind of get that done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you to Melvin Rush II for thank you for all the glorious Purple weekends. Really appreciate you being here. All right. So next up is another quote, and this is from the new book. And I do think this is an important quote from Prince that was from Details magazine from November 1991. And in it, Prince says, "There's not much I want the public to know about me other than the music." And I'll let that marinate. All right. So here's a ticket from the January 1st show in Dallas. And here are some more tickets. And I already showed you the ticket that I have. But the one that I thought was really interesting is the one that's stamped with obstructed view. I would have hated to have those tickets, but when you need to get in, you need to get in. And this is a ticket from January 3rd. And I know this ticket very well because it's very similar to my own ticket. And here are some photos from the January 3rd show. I really love the silhouette. I love the oranges and the purples. I think this is such an amazing shot. Any Prince photo with him in silhouette is pretty amazing. But here's some more photos of him at the piano in his white ruffle shirt. Then obviously we know this is computer blue because he has on the thing over his eye, Darling Nikki, because it's red. Love the shot in the bathtub. Just how watching the video last night was really extraordinary, seeing how it really looks kind of like water. And then here's another shot with some Lewis and Vaughn originals. And another shot. Some more shots. Another classic silhouette with the Purple Rain coat.
Mm-hmm.
Love, 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 love this shot. I think this is a really amazing shot with the red in the back. And this is pretty extraordinary.
This is like traditional Prince, if you know what I mean. Like, if you just ask somebody what you think of this, is what they're gonna.
Oh yeah,
that look right there, iconic.
Circulated images we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, that was really fascinating when Arthur did his presentation this year for Erotic City 40 and was referencing just how many people they just, even today, they go back to the Purple Rain look. And there's so many eras that they could choose from fashion wise, but they always, always, always go back to Purple Rain for sure. And here's some more from the January 3rd show. And you can see Sheila in the back and a little bit.
What up?
Wow, man.
He's throwing up gang signs.
See-through pants. Gangsta glam early. Let my nuts hang.
Love this shot. And
oh boy.
And then and then they
Wow, Mark sighting.
That's actually in the front. That's actually Jerome. Because Jerome
right there.
Oh, that is Jerome, isn't it? If you look at it.
Yeah.
No, to the far right. No, I mean far left. Like if you're looking at it.
Oh yeah, the far far left. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So, Michael Dean, if you don't mind reading about Toy Box, page 7.
Toy Box, my man. All right. Friday, January 4th, 1985, says AM estimate. Toy Box instrumental, basic tracking overdubs, Master Sound Studios, Atlanta, Georgia. After the January 3rd show, producer Prince, artist Sheila E., engineers Susan Rogers and David Tackle. Susan Rogers, quote, "It was Prince's record once again. He wrote the lyrics, and it was a Prince project. Although I think Sheila may have had the lyrical inspiration this time, particularly on Toy Box. But definitely, this was another Prince record." Susan Rogers. Prince literally couldn't stop working on music. Not just his songs, but music in general. It was what fed him, even when he was on the road. Just because he'd done a 4-hour sound check, and a 3-hour show, he would still be ready to create more music, according to tour manager Alan Leeds. He was like a funnel. It was as if somebody was pouring these songs into him, and they would just continue to come out the other end, like a water spigot that wouldn't turn off. Spigots, my bad. But instead of water, it was songs. The machinery of a record company couldn't digest and properly market music as quickly as he wanted. Fundamentally, his problem was simply he was more prolific than the market could bear. Because of this, Prince poured his music into other projects. During the previous year, he recorded and released entire albums for Sheila E., The Time, and Apollonia 6, and had started working on music for The Family and Maserati, as well as full albums of his own. Whew. Once Purple Rain erupted, those around him shifted. The time dissolved, and Apollonia 6 would appear on stage during the tour as a special guest. But there were no solid plans to record a follow up album. The family and Maserati were still in Minneapolis working on their debut albums. So the only side act on the current tour was Sheila E. Because of her immediate availability and the success of her first album, he decided to focus on music for her as yet untitled second album. But working with Prince in the studio is not always a collaboration. Of course, Prince did play the instruments on her record, but that had a lot more to do with Prince's personality than it had to do with Sheila's abilities, explains Rogers. It was faster for him to play the bass, the guitar, or the keyboard, and he wrote the songs. But when he did record on her, when he did record on her, but when she did record on her own, she's incredibly talented. She doesn't have the talent that he does, but then who does? Okay. So just because he played on things, he didn't mean to undercut her talent. When creating the basic tracks for the song, he set the foundation with his usual mix of live drums, percussion, kabasa, bongos, and claps, and a pattern from the LM1 drum machine. He also added bass and keyboards, including the Yamaha DX7 to the track. He also included a guitar section that was adjusted to play at double speed, which sounded similar to the one he'd written for Apollonia 6's Blue Limousine. At the end of the night, he created an instrumental version of the song, and instead of vocals, they recorded a series of moans from several members of Sheila's band to fill in the space. Very interesting. Status, an instrumental of Toy Box 620 appears to have been completed on this date. Sheila's vocals would be added, and the track would be edited to 5 minutes and 36 seconds and released on August 26, 1985, as the fourth track on her second album, Romance 1600. Although members of the band are credited on the song, it is likely that they were just for the vocal moaning and that all the instruments were recorded by Prince and Sheila E. Do I stop here or read the last part?
Yeah, read the last part.
All right. Because of the speed that Prince was recording on tour, the nonstop pace of their travels, and the lack of sleep, proper notations were not always kept, and some of the finer details about the specifics of certain sessions have been lost to time. I didn't see myself in a historical context, and I really wish I had, recalled Rogers. I was 26 years old or something like that, and too naive to recognize what a big deal he was and how important he was. So I didn't memorize the details of circumstance. I was focused on the details of my job. The recording dates listed are as accurate as possible, and every effort has been made to share all the memories of those who were there. Toy Box. What is that song about?
All right. So after the bridge, I need you to moan, D'Angelo, and then Mike, you will come in with
Lord,
the high moan, and we go.
lawyers. I have nothing to do with that. HR.
He said he had them just moaning on the stuff. It's okay. All right. After the guitar solo, y'all moan here. I'm gonna do a drum break, and then at the bottom of the drum break, I'm gonna need y'all to moan low, and then just a little high.
Toy Box.
Each in a moan and a harmony.
Yeah.
I don't know if they was like, man, is he going back to the dirty mind? Like,
but keep we in with the moan, Prince. See? All right, got you.
Yes. All right. So I love this comment from Chris Bornay. That's so interesting that Prince chooses to play percussion for one of the best percussionists.
Well, I guess maybe he didn't think the song was necessarily for her at the time. I don't know. As opposed, it may have been more about her.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wonder if he probably did like I guess like the basic tracking, like bass, drums, keys, guitar, and then was like, hey, so you want this? Like, okay, let's put your little stuff on it. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, this is Prince that has already done like Cool and all
Yeah.
these kinds of some dope ass percussion. Like he was the man. As much as we like to say, Sheila wouldn't. I'm saying she wasn't nobody, but we're talking about Prince at this time. She was,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't Sheila E. yet.
Plus, he was
She
still in that
was
mode.
Sheila E. So that's the point. But she was Sheila E.
Yeah, but she wasn't commanding in no studio with Prince. Like, you know, he was that man. Like,
I mean, you know, plus he say was still in that mode of doing it all say himself. So
Yeah.
you know, he's kind of like, I got
this
it.
is at his. This is like he made it. Like he's the man at this point. For
I
the
mean,
first
but
time.
you would think, I mean, she was earning her keep on tour, like, opening up. So
Just
you kind of
doing
would
it right
think that,
that
yeah.
moment.
So like, you kind of would think that he would have some kind of confidence in her to kind of come in and do it, but for
That's
the
what
second time,
that's what I'm trying to say, because she had already toured with Marvin Gaye by this point, with George Duke by this point. She had recorded albums before her first album with her father.
Mhm.
I mean, she's been in the
opening up for Prince.
Oh my
Be clear.
this is a business. Hit it, Mike.
Yeah.
Come on, Mike. What a sound bite, Mike. You gotta come with a sound bite.
My bad.
Oh my
Lord, I'm late. Sorry, man. But anyway, but salute to Sheila E.
The business, and you ain't too far gone to see that
There
yet.
you go.
So my first thought, don't bring that thing. Oh my God. So my first thought when I read Chris Bournet's quote was perhaps, he punched it out and had Sheila redo his percussion, but he was notorious for bouncing tracks down. So maybe if the tracks got bounced, there was no way that it could. So I don't know.
Mm.
Yes. All right. Yes. I'm glad you noticed that, Lee Krista, because the other two, they weren't with me. So yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. So we are going to go. What are we doing next? So we are going to talk about my original ticket. So this is my ticket, which I have here. And the ticket, I've said the story before, but I'll try to say it one more time very quickly. As you know, me and my mom stood in line to get tickets at the Turtles in Candler Road. And when the store opened, they crashed in, and not one body got tickets from that location from Turtles. My mom drove me to another location with the quickness, but they had all sold out. So I was crying. I was so sad. And I was like, I'm not going to this Purple Rain concert, because this would be my second Prince concert. Because some of you know that the 1999 tour was my first Prince concert. So I was ready to see him live again.
How old were you again at this time?
At this time, when the tickets went on sale, I was 13. But then by the time the tour came around, I was 14, because my birthday is November 23rd. So November 14th. December of 1984, I had come to terms that I wasn't going to see this tour, blah, blah, blah. So my mom gave me this little box, and in this little box, and I still have the box, were these socks. And on these socks, it said Prince, because there's a tennis brand called Prince. I didn't know that. I literally thought they were Prince socks. So I was like, yay, Prince socks. So I was so excited to get some Prince socks for Christmas. But inside the socks, my mom had these tickets.
Oh, that's what's up.
And this was my favorite gift I have ever received, were these tickets, because it meant so much to me. So my mom and I went to go see the Purple Rain tour together. And one of the things I'm trying to find in all these articles, which I can't seem to find, is when we were going into the Omni, there were two escalators that were going down. Luckily, me and my mom was on the one to the right, but the one to the left, it started going really fast, and people started piling up on top of one another. And so it was just so great that we weren't on that escalator, but they figured it out, they fixed it, and people got to the concert and all that. but I've been like trying to find an article to mention that, but maybe no one who was a journalist or a writer was around to see that. But that's one of the things that I remembered. As far as the concert, and a lot of Prince concerts, I never really remember the concert itself. The one thing that I've said a gazillion times already here, the one thing I do remember are Sheila E.'s neon drumsticks. That is something I remember. And then last night when I was watching the show that D68A has posted, which is my show, the January 4th show, and it's in the accompanying playlist. Oh my God, that's funny.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Clearly it did. Clearly it did.
And luckily it didn't for us, because I don't know, my mom would not have liked that. So you know what's crazy, Man Ray? I asked my mom, how did she get the tickets? How much did she pay for these tickets? Because I'm sure she had to pay a premium for them. She says she doesn't remember. And the thing is, like, we were not, we weren't poor, but we weren't middle class either. We literally had chicken and rice every day, 5-6 days a week for a year.
I respect it.
So,
Hey, the number one chicken rice is quite healthy.
yeah. So that my mom.
You want these Prince tickets, or do you want chicken? You gonna eat this chicken and this rice every day?
I would take the Prince tickets and take the chicken and rice. But to this day, Michael Dean, I do not like chicken, because we had it every single day for years.
Fried chicken, baked chicken.
It was fried chicken. Fried chicken.
Hey, salute to your mom.
Yeah.
I'm mad at that.
As a parent now, I get it.
Yeah. So like these tickets mean the world to me. And I don't know, even my own mom doesn't remember what she had to get these tickets.
I do have one question. You still have the ticket stub?
Yes.
Or do you still have the socks?
No, because I wore them out. I wore them almost every day.
Okay, yeah, we might not want.
But I still have the box, though, Ricky. I still have the box.
Okay.
Came in, but yeah, no, those socks got wore out like a long time.
The Prince socks.
Prince socks.
They got holes in them.
They had holes in them, Michael Dean. They
wore them bad boys out too. I know he was like, "These are Prince socks, guys."
I did, Michael.
I'm mad at you.
These from the land of 10,000 lakes,
yeah,
baby.
I did the same thing.
That's right. Yes. So last night when I watched the entire show, all the way through, even through Purple Rain, and the one thing that, because I was like, it's something something in my memory jogged, and something did jog. What jogged in my memory was when Prince was on top of the speakers for the end of Darling Nikki. I remember that in my mind as a 14-year-old, I was like, he's really going to do the whole thing, like from the movie. That's the only thing that I remember that was a thought in my mind about the Prince thing. But yeah.
Shenanigans. That's the early Prince shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So this is the original ticket. And then here are some photos from that particular night, which was Friday, January 4th. And it's literally, I forgot to say it. I'm glad I looked at the clock. Today is literally the 40th anniversary of that show, because it's January 4th.
40 years ago.
40 years ago, I saw that show.
Amazing.
And I was so happy. Oh, another thing, Michael Dean, that you should know, when me and my husband were watching last night, he was like, listen to you, one of these voices is you screaming.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it wasn't, because I went to it with my mom, and my mom wasn't having that.
Hilarious.
So I was like, I was just sitting very quietly, jumping for joy inside, and just grateful to be in the meeting.
I mean, could you even imagine back then that you would be doing like this show and just all the other stuff you're doing for Prince? Like, you could have never probably saw that.
No, I never saw that. No, I was just happy to be in that building, because I didn't think I was going to get to go. So that's funny. Chris Bournet said that their mom would have been screaming, but no, no, I had to be a little lady, so there was no screaming for me. So here are some photos from that show. He wore the amazing green coat they wore to the American Music Awards. You can see Jerome. Like, I don't even remember Jerome. Like, until I watched that video last night, I don't remember Jerome being there.
Man, if social media had
Tight suit he
existed
got on right there.
back then,
It's not
they
so
would have.
yeah, but the suit he got on.
Oh, for sure. That was it. Social media was around back then. They would have tore into Jerome. Just like, why you up there?
Oh, yeah.
You ain't in, where the time? When he's a traitor.
Yeah.
Where's
They would've.
Morris?
Yep.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Is Prince trying to be more?
Yes.
Love it.
I love this shot of Prince, like how it's a very Prince look. And also just I have to acknowledge like the banter between Prince and Jerome is just as amazing in my personal opinion as Jerome and Morris. I know some people might disagree, but like you can just see the joy. And it was so great seeing Wally on stage. And
it's the for me, it's just as big as he had become, and he's the solo figure and all this greatness. When his boys is up with him, that's when you like, oh, he's just like us. You know what I mean? He comes alive. Like when Jerome, that just to me is a representation. I'm still
with the fellas.
Still with the fellas. I'm still in the hood. I'm the real purpose people. I'm still with real. They're not dressed all funny. They're, and I can jump right back into that and do all the stuff from the streets. It's just kind of like that thing to let you know, like, yeah, man, he's still solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
Yeah, that was so fun to watch that.
So D'Angelo, I gotta ask because I need you to go back for a minute. So you got your ticket Christmas Day, you said. So, like, you were out of school, like when you got the ticket.
I was in Alabama when I got the ticket at my grandmother's house. I know exactly where I was.
Right. But like school was on winter break.
Yeah.
So basically, when you went back to school, which was Southwest, you went back kind of talking about the show, maybe sharing it with some people, kind of bragging that you went to the show, maybe perhaps.
I mean, I don't brag. I'm not a bragger. I would just, like I said, I didn't even think I was going to make it to that show. So I was probably in shock. And that was probably another reason why I wouldn't scream anyway, because I would just be like, I go sort of catatonic. Like when I the only time I met Prince when I got my Symbol CD autograph, I told you guys, I didn't say one word to him, not one word, because I just went catatonic. So I'm sure I did the same thing when I was watching. I was probably still in shock for several weeks because I didn't think I was going to go to that show, and I was really upset about it.
Right, but I know people around you knew that you were a big fan. So when you got back to school, did they ask you, did you go to the show?
I don't remember, but I'm sure they did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. My memory is the worst. It really is. It's rare that I remember things, but I do remember getting those tickets. Very clear.
Okay.
Yep. And
cool beans.
Here's some more shots of Wendy and Prince. And another shot. Another shot. And
I see somebody liked him in the lace see-through. They keep taking all the pictures with
yeah.
Let's get him in the lace see-through.
But it's also during Baby I'm a Star though, and I Would Die For You, which is like the finale. And that might have something to do with it as well. And always love this shot. And love all these shots. This is a great shot. Then we're getting into the Purple Rain silhouette.
More exciting.
Yeah, what's busy to the left of Brown Mark.
Prince got the headband.
Yeah.
Got the headband on.
His ain't here, but watch this.
On this show in particular, if you guys watch this tonight or it's in the company playlist, he always starts off with the Honor and then he switches to the white guitar, but he was about to get into something on the fourth show that just sounded amazing on the Honor, and then he changes to the White Cloud, which I was a little disappointed by because I was like, finish your musical thought. So, yeah. And then it's another one. Yeah, so Chris has a very good point. Concert photography policies changed over the years, and media photographers are now only allowed to shoot the first 3 numbers. So it's really a big deal that we get some of these pictures, throughout the entire show, which is a shame that they no longer can do that. But I'm sure it's distracting for the artists. And love seeing the little mask. Love the shot. He looks very serious. I love this shot. He looks like, okay, I'm ready to go. All right. So next up, Ricky, do you mind just reading the bottom of page 9, and then on the next page, read the last 3 paragraphs?
The bottom of page 9 with Saturday, January 5th.
Yep.
All right. Toy box, vocals, various overdubs mix, French fries, basic tracking mix, Dear Michaelangelo, instrumental, basic tracking mix, Master Sound Studios, Atlanta, after January 4th concert. It says producer Prince, artist Sheila E., engineer Susan Rogers, and David Tickle. And then you said the last 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, start with the lyrics for Toy Box.
Okay. The lyrics for Toy Box bounce back and forth between the playfully innocent and blatant references to sex or vagina. It is likely that her sax player Eddie M. Minifield added his horn to this song as well during this session. Prince would also record a track listed as French Fries, which was a basic and repetitive keyboard, bass, drum, and percussion groove. It appears that no lyrics were written or recorded for this number, and it was likely just an exercise for Sheila and Prince to play in the studio. Something that happened a lot during their time together. I know I recorded over 100, 200 songs detail Sheila about her years of studio work with Prince. Him and I, just by ourselves, no one else. That's a lot of good music.
And you can go to the next page, sorry.
Okay. With an entire day off from the tour, Prince likely took advantage of the time to record Dear Michaelangelo. The basic tracks were either recorded during this session or the following week while recording in Houston. Started with a blend of drums performed by Prince and included his keyboard work on the Oberheim OB-SX and the Yamaha DX7. His guitar work ended with feedback similar to the previous year's Computer Blue, as well as on the then unreleased Rearrange from December 1981. The first pass of the track didn't contain saxophone, Sheila's percussion, or vocals. Dear Michaelangelo, 5 minutes 53 seconds, was edited to 4 minutes 37 seconds for release on Sheila E.'s Romance 1600 album. Prince's vocal version, 5 minutes and 22 seconds, was issued posthumously on the Originals collection in 2019. Another edit, 4 minutes 55 seconds, and probably an instrumental version remain unreleased. The 7-minute instrumental French Fries remains unreleased.
Fish fries. So Tariq, hi Tariq, and Happy New Year. Says, on the subject of the guitar, Susan Rogers said he exclusively used the Telecaster in the studio as the Cloud was never a good recording guitar. Found that interesting. That is a really good interesting point. And then Blake Brown says, all of his songs with food titles would make an interesting playlist. I agree with that. And yes, Dr. Claw.
Just to go back to the cloud thing for a second, was the cloud really just more of like a prop thing from the movie that became a symbol, as opposed to that was something that he was really using? You know what I mean? Like, Obviously, it's popular from the movie.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously it was real, meaning like it wasn't just a prop, like it was a playable. But I understand the point. I think that's a good point. I'm gonna be honest, and I might get hate mail for this, but so be it. I always prefer the Honor. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I always loved that. And when the white cloud appeared, I was like, what's going on? The same way like last night when he took it off, I was like, oh my God, he's about to play Purple Rain with the Hunter. And I forgot that he switches off to the white cloud. And I was like, darn it. So,
yeah, I would always, to me, it always felt like, okay, or like the Blue Angel was another example. It's like, oh, he's about to do one of these Purple Rain style end of the world solos. He's gonna pull out one of them cloud joints and rock it. But to me, it was like when he about to get funky and they really cut. It'd be the other, the one with, I always call it the Barracuda guitar. That's what I call it.
I love that.
But I was like, yeah, I want to hear him. Let him pick that up because I know he's gonna get crazy when you pick that up. And I never really thought though that was like, yeah, I could see how it was an iconic symbol from a movie, and you sort of almost have to play into it a little bit and make it a part of his universe, where really, if that movie hadn't done what it done, would he really have been continue to pull that out?
That's a really, really good question.
But I love the symbolism of it though. To me, in my mind, when I think of cloud, though, that's that peach cloud.
I love the Blue Angel because
Blue Angel's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it sort of ties into so many different eras, I guess, all from the iconic stance it has from Purple Rain.
Yeah. So TP, yes, you're correct. The cloud guitar is based on a bass guitar that Andre Simone had back in the day, for sure. And then Elderbar says, I love the urgent tempo of Dear Michaelangelo. I actually love Prince's version of Dear Michaelangelo on the originals.
Mm-hmm.
Love that version. So I'm so happy that they released that on originals. And again, I'm just going to shout out in the universe. It would be so amazing to have another originals volume. And let's see, Edgar says during the Purple Rain tour, he only played the title track with the cloud. Same for 86, only Purple Rain was played with the cloud. And then Blake Brown says, coincidentally, I was watching a clip of Springsteen talking about his Telecaster basically being a part of his body. The Hunter seems like an extension of Prince. I agree. And Ryden Rose says, the Telly is my favorite.
What does he play at the beginning of the Sign of the Times? What guitar is that? That's not the cloud guitar. When he plays Sign of the Times, at the very beginning of the concert.
I thought it was, it's not a cloud.
I can't. I don't know why I can't remember all of a sudden.
I thought it was like the peach cloud.
Is it? Okay.
But I could be wrong. Somebody let us know in the chat because I haven't watched that in a while. Because I've been watching, the Glam Slam show. Yes, Blake Brown verified peach cloud. Yep, and 2 people, like 3. Yeah, everybody says
got it.
Peach cloud, peach cloud, peach cloud. That's right. That's
and I can see from an iconic standpoint. Yeah, that would. Purple Rain, I got the peach color.
Yeah. And then Tariq says, only guitar used during 87, minus the acoustic on Forever in My Life. All right. There's so many great chats in here. I'm sure I'm missing something, but we got to keep it moving. So this is the handwritten. It's hard to really make out. I'm sorry, but these are actually the handwritten lyrics for Dear Michaelangelo. And what I find interesting is that I don't think that the first 2 lines are written by Prince. The rest of it is. And I wonder if those first 2 lines were written by Sheila. I don't know. But that doesn't. There's definitely a difference in the 2 handwritings. And the other thing that I love about this, if you go all the way down to the bottom and where it says chorus, he literally says, Dear Michaelangelo. Angel. And so he was like, let me break that down for you. So everybody should know that part of the song.
I hate that we didn't know about that studio back in the day because I'm sure it's not there anymore.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would have loved to have gone by there.
Oh, that's the other thing I find interesting is that, any sort of creative person could maybe speak to this. Like when you do your art, you really, you like to be in a very comfortable you know your space. You know what I'm saying? Like when you don't have to think about nothing. So it's interesting to me. He's that much of a badass of what he was doing that they could go to these studios that they had never been to, I assume,
Yeah.
and set up shop. And even if it's just a day or whatever, and come out with dope material like that, comfortable where they just make it his own space. I just think that that's dope. Like he didn't stop. Like, oh, I gotta wait till I get back to Sunset, or it's like,
Well,
no.
you know, man, I got a theory about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, remember when you know we read stories about when he met, I think it was Chris Moon, and Chris Moon would give him keys out to the studio, and he would stay in. You know, like studios basically, it's kind of like they're kind of set up the same. I think the only difference is you got like 24 tracks, 16 tracks, like 8 tracks. You know, like to record or make to do whatever. But once you get the basic skeleton of it down, you could probably go anywhere.
Well, no, for sure.
And kind of do that. And so I just think that he was so prolific, you know, he kind of, you know, just studied and worked, you know, because remember we read in the first book how he said he didn't have like living room furniture like most people. He had like a studio setup where the living room was. So he had that stuff around him like since he was like 17. So like walking into somewhere that he wasn't familiar with, as long as they had a mixing board and all those type things, he knew, okay, you know, it's kind of like riding a bike. Do you ride a BMX? You got a 10 speed. You got, you know, like a unicycle. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know, kind of like that type thing. He kind of just went in, and so he knew what to do. He was able to take off with it. But you're right. That is a testament because, you know, most artists would be like, I'd rather be in comfortable settings.
Right. Yeah. Or this doesn't have the sound that doesn't sound like doesn't touch. But his ability to keep it, for the most part, it all sounds like it would have been recorded at the same place. I mean, just listening to it, you don't get a sense that it was broken up the way that it was.
I mean, if we never would have got this book, I would have thought that it would have been done at Paisley Park somewhere. You know, or man, Sunset Sounds,
Sunset or something. Yeah.
You know, like I never would have thought that it was recorded like in like Atlanta or something like that.
Yeah, just to go different cities and planting the flag and putting it down. You know, and taking them tapes with you and going to another city to continue that same. That's pretty remarkable, actually.
Yeah,
it is. So I want to address Elder Barr's comment. He says, it literally says by Sheila E. at the top of the page. The thing is, like, Prince often did this with songs that he was writing for other people. There have been songs in Prince's entire handwriting that is for other people. Like, it'll say Vanity 6 or Apollonia 6 sometimes.
Well, Apollonia did write them songs.
Hold on, but don't y'all come for apples?
Yeah, we're not going to come for apples.
Let me stop.
But the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, because Prince wrote for songs for other people, sometimes he would put who the song was for when he wrote the lyrics. But if you look at, and I know it's very hard to see, but if you do look at this very closely, or you know how to, if you have your own copy, just go back and look at the 2 lines. The handwriting is definitely different. So it might be Sheila E., but it's not because it says by Sheila E. up at the top, because sometimes he would do that. Just FYI. All right. So
yeah, like who get the publishing? That's
yeah, for sure.
Get it, Mike. It's a business.
Yeah. Says it was written by you, but the money goes to me.
Yeah.
Prince, was it Prince songs? Ask that.
Yeah. Like Paris songs.
Girl songs or something like that.
Yep, girl songs.
You get the money now.
Yeah. I love this comment also from LTK. This is a good question. I wonder who is in charge of protecting the tapes while on the road. It's not like they could upload it and send it back home.
Probably Susan.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Tariq does too.
What an important job.
Yeah, very important. I love this comment from Keith. Hi, Keith. I hope you're well. Vibe-wise, Dear Michaelangelo is kind of dark and damn near spooky. You guys agree?
I don't get the dark part.
I got to re-listen to it. Like, I thought it was just kind of playful.
Well, I do. I mean, for me, Keith, the darkness comes through like the minor chords, and I do get kind of like a gothic vibe, but I don't know if I'm doing that because I know what the cover of Romance 1600 looks like, and I marry that song to, that album. But I understand what you're talking about. And
Damn, Ricky, we're gonna upgrade you from them Bobby Browns.
yeah,
Every time you move,
Oh,
yeah, it's
sorry, my bad.
it's really loud.
it's my prerogative. Had them since tonight.
Yeah.
My apologies.
All right. So we're at the end here, and we're going to quickly go through the rest. So week one, Prince did 3 new songs and 2 studio sessions, and we have with the asterisks because there's some uncertainty about Fish Fries and Dear Michaelangelo, whether or not it was on the 5th or the 6th, but Toy Box was definitely on the 4th. These were all recorded in Atlanta, which obviously, I know Don just says. I'm sorry.
Oh Lord,
Oh,
we're not gonna bully Ricky.
Hey man, look, I'm bully free. I'm bully proof.
Oh my God. And Tariq says this book is going to be more wild than the previous one. Can't wait to read it again. And TP, yes, I would have also been a wreck with those tapes on the road. Anything could happen and they could get destroyed. Jimi Hendrix actually lists the masters to his 3rd album, Axis Bow as Love in a Cab. He lost his masters? I didn't realize that. I didn't hear about that. Thank you for sharing, TP. All right. So there were 3 live shows in terms of 85. There were 5 live shows this week, but 2 were in 1984. So we're just moving forward 1985 now. For the music break, Omar is coming to town. We've talked about that a lot, so I'm going to rush through that. For Purple World, definitely make sure that you keep Dr. Funkenberry in your thoughts and prayers and donate when you can. Anything would be helpful, especially around this time of the new year and all of that. So send him good thoughts and love and prayers and all of that. And this is the accompanying playlist. So you can see that D68A has posted my show, which is January 4th of 1985. So you can see the video or you can listen to the audio. You can also listen to Toy Box and Dear Michaelangelo, Sheila's version, as well as Prince's version from Originals. And then there is an unreleased instrumental demo from Toy Box. And
that's a good picture.
Yes, I love this picture, and I want to go out with something special. Hopefully it won't get cut off, but if it does, you just have to watch the end of the January 4th show. But before we go off on this special ending, Michael Dean, do you want to take us out?
Well, let me say, what an adventure, we had doing this. This was incredible, and everyone, really shouting at everybody that's been in the chat, that's been hanging in. You guys make the show what it is week for week. We couldn't do this if it was just us on the screen. It would be boring. So you guys, we did it. We got through this, man. Hopefully, a lot of people will watch these back and are learning different things. Had a good time. So this was a blast. Now, let's go. Let's fucking go. This is going to be amazing, man. I can't wait.
Get your passport stamp.
Yeah, this is going to be incredible. So we got a lot of great stuff to get into. And there's a lot of great albums. I'm all in for the ride. I hope you guys are too. It's been a great journey. This is the 2nd season. Let's go. Reboot 2.0. We're coming. So, so as we end this show, we're rebirthing into something new. So let's get into it. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, D'Angela. Thank you, Celie. Thank you, Duane, for coming through today.
Yes.
Stopping in, blessing us, and treating us to some nuggets from the third book. And we're still trying to get the last one straight. So with that said, have a great rest of your weekend. Happy New Year. Work it like a job. And yo, DJ.
Here we go.
To have a good time. To have a good time. much time we got left on this earth, people. Please try to love one another, all right? It's okay. We can do it. Can you say yeah? Can you say yeah? Can you say ah? Thank you. Good night.